System. From Iron Man, the counteroffensive begins. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176 Show 2. Sister, that immortal master is so young. How old do you think he is? I heard that immortals are immortal. He can't be thousands of years old, right? The Prince Li Zhi is still young, and he has two elder brothers who are both outstanding in civil and military affairs. He can be said to be carefree and doted on. With his eyes open, he innocently asked the eldest princess at the same table for information about the immortal master. Sitting at this table are all princes and princesses, including the oldest princess Anyang Lianlan, as well as the crown prince Li Chengqian and the prince of Wei Lite. Young slave, don't be so ignorant of etiquette. The ability of the immortal master is beyond the imagination of mortals like us. Remember to keep a respectful heart. As the crown prince, Li Chengqian's words are always full of brotherly flavor. Well, it is said that Mr. Luo is about the same age as Young Yi. I happened to hear Young Li mention him. Ah. Sister, can't it be? Isn't Young Xianan only in his early 20s? This is too exaggerated. Li Zhi was a child who spoke without restraint. In addition to expressing his shock, he also focused on the food on the table. Yeah, doesn't that mean that the immortal master is still a young man, and I don't know if he has a crush on someone? Sister Gao Yang, what are you thinking about? Are you asking the emperor to grant you a marriage? The entire Xinhua Fang, except for the 3-story cafeteria in the factory area, can't accommodate so many people eating at the same time. The living area is equivalent to a closed community. The shops and restaurants inside are fully guaranteed to provide food, clothing and daily necessities. Anyway, 99% of the goods can be produced by Xinhua Fang itself, but some traditional eating utensils need to be purchased from Chang'an City. There are 8 people at a table, and there are more than 500 tables. The servants and guards are sitting on the first floor and need to be rotated again. There is a difference between the upper and lower levels, which cannot be changed by human power. Luo Wen couldn't force this. There was no way. Equality for all was basically impossible to achieve overnight in this era. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, everyone began to line up, in turn to get on the bus, and walk deeper into the valley. The rock wall behind had already been flattened by Luo Wen. Luo Wen hid the secret arsenal and the experimental building in the mountains. Blue sky and white clouds, green mountains and green waters, the mountain spring water pouring down from the mountain stream, made the dense forest full of water vapor, and the high stands, one on each side, just like the standard of gymnasiums in later generations, easily accommodated nearly 10,000 eye-opening people in the Tang dynasty. On the flat mountain, except for the exposed loess and the weeds that popped up, there was only a huge semicircular passage on the left-hand side, leading directly to the belly of the mountain, as if the entire belly of the mountain had been hollowed out. Outside the closed iron gate, there were camouflage cloth and rain shelters on the left and right sides, as if they were covering something. In front of those camouflage cloths, there were rows of uniformed soldiers. That's right, although Luo Wen had no ambition to dominate the world, he still prepared 1,000 secret troops, and only half of them were standing here, and most of them were specially transferred back from jungle training for the purpose of practicing and displaying weapons. Chirping and talking, the ministers and their families sitting in the stands turned over the telescopes in their hands, discussing and screaming non-stop, and they couldn't understand why they could see the small dots at a very long distance through the things in their hands. Emperor Tang, the next movement may be a bit loud. You must be mentally prepared. I'm looking forward to it. Master, please start. Of course, the civil and military officials sat in the middle, not on concrete floors, nor on plastic benches, but on wooden high chairs. In addition to bottled water, the long table in front of them was also equipped with snacks and fruits. But, wait, Luo Wen was afraid that they would not have the heart to taste it. Hey, Captain Zhang, we can start. Picking up the intercom on the table, Luo Wen gave an order to the public channel. Zhang Miao received. Zhang Miao received. The commander has ordered. The exercise begins. In the eyes of everyone, they saw that the immortal master Luo Wen took out a black object, and then a voice came out of it. Before the Tang Emperor, princes and ministers around him could ask the doubts in their hearts, boom. The camouflage cloth had been removed, and the huge metal creation inside had started the engine, and began to move to the middle of the venue, climbing over the earth slope, mud, and deep trenches, as if entering an uninhabited area. There were a total of 10 vehicles lined up in a row, with their backs to the stands. The black alloy gun barrels pointed 45 degrees upward to the sky. This the soldiers in camouflage uniforms followed closely in neat steps, carrying strangely shaped metal instruments and boxes of ammunition in their hands. Automatic rifle rapid fire, start. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. At a distance of dozens of meters, those soldiers dressed strangely picked up the automatic rifles on their backs and started shooting at the target 100 meters away. The Spark 1 automatic rifle has a standard load of 30 rounds and an effective range of 1000 meters. As for why the target is placed so close, it is of course for demonstration effect. Otherwise, how could the Spark Army, which is trained according to the standards of special forces, only shoot at targets at this distance? Flames, lightning. Wow, what kind of hidden weapon is this? And it is so terrifying. So scary, so scary. Heavy machine gun shooting, start. Zizzy, da-da-da, electric ammunition supply, firing rate of 2000 rounds per second, effective range of 2000 meters. Boom. The spectators in the stands, holding binoculars in their hands, looked at the rocks 200 meters away. Under the licking of the flames, they were soon beaten into pieces on the ground. Mortar fire coverage, start. 10 heavy machine guns were carried down by 2 soldiers, and the messy place was soon covered by a whistling shell. 10 volleys, a total of 100 shells, were poured onto the ground in just 1 minute. Boom, boom. The thunder was deafening, and a burst of dust and white smoke dissipated. The ground seemed to have been shaved off a layer, revealing a big pit of varying depths. The open mouth opened even wider at this time, and the throat rolled up and down unconsciously, and the saliva was swallowed continuously. Spark tank, main gun 10 rounds rapid fire, start. Dukaka, kaka, boom, boom. The landing point of the mortar was still a little far from the stands, and the people in the stands had their legs weak at this time, stunned and dared not say a word. When the fierce gun barrel of the 50-meter long big guy pointed straight ahead, the circle drawn 500 meters away, at this time, everyone also understood its true purpose. Boom, boom, bang, bang. The earth was shaking, making people tremble with fear, as if their souls were about to leave their bodies. Emperor Tang, if I can provide 10,000 sets of such equipment and instruments within a month, I wonder if your majesty is sure to conquer the entire Turkic territory? Gilu, master. This, 10,000 sets, with such magical weapons, who in the world, can stop the power of my Tang dynasty? Haha. Congratulations, your majesty, God bless my Tang dynasty. Pistols, grenades, sniper rifles, rockets, troop carriers, these things, Luo Wen did not display, and the Spark howitzer, the Spark super long range cannon, is at the end of the production schedule, and there are only samples for the time being. Moreover, there should be no need to do this again. Brother Luo, you didn't come here to live a hard life, you are here to unify the world. The power of the immortal master is so terrifying. If you can work for me, this world will belong to my Tang dynasty Li family. When everyone was thirsty and excited, in the corner of the crowd, there was a man dressed as a servant of the Tang dynasty, but he was not disciplined by his master. He held the telescope by himself, and didn't put it down for a long time. I don't know if it was because of fear, or because I couldn't control it. Water drops began to fall from my eyes, and the veins on the palm of my hand holding the telescope bulged. However, the telescope was made of an alloy shell, and ordinary people couldn't hold it. Damn Tang people, damn immortal master, with such a magic weapon, he actually hid it from everyone in the world. My people, my grassland, what should I do? What can we use to stop these monsters? Chapter 177 Show 3. Wash, go and help Manager Chen arrange for everyone to return to the city. Yes, your majesty. The Emperor of Tang waved his hand, and the chief eunuch who had been serving beside him bowed and left. As Wash had accompanied the Emperor of Tang for many years, he naturally understood that his master wanted to be alone with the immortal master for a while. Your Majesty, I will also go to see the children. Empress Zhangsun was extremely considerate and took her leave on her own initiative. Well, Guanai knows what I mean. You go first, I will come later. The noisy crowd, like a tide, began to go out in batches and took the car. As they walked, they talked a lot, full of surprise and confusion. Unfortunately, Luo Wen's goal had been achieved, and he didn't have the time to explain it to everyone again. Master, there are only two of us here. I have some questions, and I would like to ask you to help me solve them. With his palms clasped together, the Emperor of Tang showed a more sincere attitude. Perhaps he knew that he was just a mortal and there were no outsiders here. Instead of being arrogant, he should treat others with sincerity and narrow the relationship and distance with the master. Emperor Tang, what you want to ask is why I displayed such a weapon in front of everyone, right? The Master of Immortal was indeed very clever, and the Emperor of Tang became more respectful. Since the Master of Immortal guessed it, there must be a deeper meaning, right? Although there are nearly 10,000 guests, among whom are ministers of the court and nobles, but servants, guards, and even maids are allowed to enter and watch regardless of their status. Of course, the secret cannot be kept. But what I want is for everyone to know. Emperor Tang, don't be surprised. There are not only people of the Tang dynasty in the crowd, but also Turkic princes. I have expected all this. What? Prince of the Turks, if we let them know all our secret weapons, wouldn't that increase the difficulty of our westward expedition? Hiss, that's not right. The best strategy is to defeat the enemy without fighting. If the Turks knew that our Tang dynasty had such a powerful weapon, there would only be two results. 1. Accumulate all their strength and fight us to the death. 2. Raise the flag and surrender. Haha, that's right. Although the vast Turkic grasslands are conducive to mechanized charges, if the Turkic tribes are divided into small groups and do not fight us head on, if we want to conquer the entire Turkic region, I'm afraid it will take more than a year at the earliest. This is if there is sufficient logistical support, otherwise it may take 3 to 5 years. It's easy to conquer a country, but it's difficult to defend it. The Emperor of Tang must have a deeper understanding. Master, you are so talented that I admire you deeply. Yes, if the Turks didn't know how powerful we are, they would probably collapse at the first touch, and it would be extremely difficult to annihilate them in one fell swoop. In other words, you knew that the Turkic prince was disguised and mixed in our team, but you still let him go, just to let him go back, to summon all the tribes, so that our Tang dynasty can conquer the Turks in one fell swoop, or in other words, without losing a single soldier. Haha, great, great. Applause and cheers. The Tang Emperor's face has been full of excitement since he came to this valley, and it is even rosy now, as if he is drunk. Emperor Tang, there is a severe drought in Shandong now. I have solved the problem of the victims for you. While everyone is building roads, I hope that the soldiers of the Great Tang will send their elite troops to come here as soon as possible to practice with the new equipment. Oh, of course. Master, I don't know what to say to express my gratitude. The Turkic prince brought the drought crisis and threatened the border of the Great Tang with a large army. He even asked me to marry a princess to him. It's wishful thinking. Wishful thinking. Haha, this time, I will let the Turks see whether our Great Tang is so shameless. Since they dare to set their sights on our Great Tang, let them pay for it with the destruction of their country and race. Well, that's great. The Tang Emperor left with a heart full of joy, while the princes and ministers were so excited that they could not control themselves. Because they had obtained this national weapon, they had thousands of words to say, but they couldn't even speak when they were in the carriage. Lu Xiao and Lu Zinayu, the grandfather and grandson, looked at each other in bewilderment. They were suddenly brought here and suddenly watched a earth-shaking demonstration. Now no one paid attention to them, and they were sent to the parking lot on the side of the avenue by the car. Grandpa, you said that the teacher, why did he specifically let us see these? Jua, your teacher is really a strange person. At first, I thought that the title of Immortal Master was a bit untrue. Now it is really true that hearing is false, and seeing is true. Those workshops in groups and the densely packed houses, how can this be a scene in the human world? Hoo-hoo, spouting thunder, splitting rocks and opening up the ground. The hull is made of metal, but it is as fast as a startled horse. It's amazing, amazing. Grandpa, I told you a long time ago that the teacher has extraordinary skills. Today, I heard that my hometown has suffered a severe drought, and I also wanted to tell you that the teacher must have a way to solve the plight of refugees. Sure enough, Master Yun told me that in the court, the teacher has transferred tens of thousands of stones of grain to the disaster relief. Haha, that's great, great. It was Grandpa who judged others by himself and misjudged the immortal master. I'm old and confused. I'm old and confused. Please don't blame me, Chua. By the way, there are so many people here today. Can you find a chance to invite the immortal master to your house for a chat? Of course, I should come to visit him. In the morning, Grandpa wanted to argue with His Majesty about right and wrong. He wanted to levy a census on the actions of the imperial family. Later, he changed his position for the disaster victims in his hometown and wanted to go to the Emperor of Tang to beg for mercy and help. Now he is smiling again, like an old child. Is he still my grandfather who strictly abides by etiquette and is usually meticulous? Grandpa, this is my first time here. If the teacher doesn't summon me, no one dares to disturb him. Well, okay, I'll go find Manager Chen later to see if he can help me pass Grandpa's visiting card to the teacher. Yun Yi, Cheng Chumo, Kinhuayu, Chang Sun Chang, Li Chengqian, Li Te, the 6 young masters of Chang'an, were sitting in the same carriage at this time. Brother Yun, you are a disciple of the immortal, but compared with the immortal master, you are really too far away. TSK, more than that, it's like heaven and earth, one is in heaven, the other is on earth. Cheng Chumo has always been so quick-witted when he speaks, and he has been hanging out with Yun Yi for a long time, so teasing and mocking have become the most common way of chatting between them. No matter what you say, I and the immortal master you call us have always been brothers, just envy us for this. Yes, yes, yes. If the immortal master hadn't suddenly sent me the magic medicine yesterday, I'm afraid I would be a cripple now. Huoyu is extremely grateful to both Brother Yun and the immortal master from the bottom of my heart. Huoyu didn't care so much. Now he could go out to watch the fun and walk freely, all thanks to the immortal master and Yun Yi. Naturally, he was speaking well of Yun Yi, the object of everyone's ridicule. Yun Yi, whether the prince and I can achieve great things in the future depends on your brother Luo. You must say a few good words for us when the time comes. Li Te was conferred the title of King of Wei, but he never left Chang'an to go to his fiefdom. Everyone didn't say it on the surface, but they had already complained in private. After all, the former emperor was indecisive and emotional in the matter of establishing a legitimate heir, which eventually led to the tragedy of brothers killing each other. Although the relationship between Li Te and Li Chengqian seems to be harmonious and the brothers are affectionate, when the Emperor of Tang really dies one day, I'm afraid that the brotherly love will not be as attractive as the throne, right? Okay, you two brothers are both outstanding. When the time comes, each of you can be the leader of a continent, and you don't have to fight for your father's position. Man from Yun County, what is the leader of a continent? Chapter 178, Intention. Winter is in full swing, the weather is extremely cold, and when night falls, the wind is howling, and no one is willing to go out. On the day of the beginning of winter, the Emperor of Tang ordered that the 12 hours be replaced by 24 hours. The calendar also adopted a new lunar calendar, no longer based on the new moon method observed by the Imperial Astronomical Observatory. There is a distinction between the solar calendar and the lunar calendar. The 20 solar terms in the lunar calendar have different subtle changes every year. On this day, Chang'an City not only changed the time standard and calendar, but also announced the lifting of the curfew system that had been in place for many years, making Chang'an a city that never sleeps. Thousands of people go out to travel, making the cold winter days lively as fire. The war is about to start. Should we be more cautious? But the Emperor of Tang followed Luo Wen's advice. The more confident he is, the more he wants everyone in the world to know that the Tang dynasty is an extremely powerful empire with a brilliant civilization that is not afraid of anyone's challenge. The lights were on, and the street lights were all lit up. The 2-month preparation time for the expedition was about to expire. In Chang'an City, 10,000 street lights were first completed. When a small transparent light bulb could easily illuminate a large area of streets, the rumors about the spark shop in the whole Chang'an City were all confirmed. Changing the world and creating all kinds of incredible miracles, Master Luo Wen really deserves his name of master. Wow, so beautiful, so beautiful. Sister Xiaonan, we are here, in the Yun Mansion. Thanks to Luo Wen's instructions, in addition to the Imperial Palace, this family not only has been transformed with modern circuit facilities, but also has a lot of electrical equipment sent by the Spark Shop. Xiaonan brought a group of brothers and sisters, happily playing hide and seek in the courtyard, but it was brightly lit, and it was easy to find the little figures hiding one by one. Those magical things that I had only seen at the master's house, now I have them at home. What a happy thing this is. Young county man, why, you seem to be very depressed recently. You haven't come out to drink with us and chat about current affairs? Alas. Cheng Chumo's advice not only failed to cheer up the dejected Yun Yi, he even shook his head and sighed, like an eggplant hit by frost, his face full of helplessness. You are about to go to the west to conquer the Turks. If the whole Chang'an is missing your company, even if I book Yanlei Tower alone, it will be boring. Hey, a real man should be born to die on the battlefield, to make achievements on the battlefield, just like my father. But, with your physical fitness like a chicken, you'd better wait for us to return triumphantly in Chang'an. TSK. Cheng Chumo first patted Yun Yi's back heavily, and then said another heartbreaking word. Go to hell, I have a standard body shape, and you have elite soldiers and brave generals. Oh, forget it, there is no point in talking about these. Brother Luo gave you a day off on the eve of the war, probably to let you say goodbye to your relatives and friends, and go to the battlefield without worries. Let's go. Where are we going today? Of course it's Yanlei Tower, where the singing and dancing are the most graceful, and the women are the most passionate. If they were not all prostitutes, I would really like to marry one home, but I'm afraid my dad will chop me with an axe. Cheng Chumo is loyal and righteous, probably like me, but all my preparations, under the contrast of Brother Luo, have become petty, and can only be used for my own entertainment. How could His Majesty take a fancy to me, if he wants to marry the eldest Princess Lianlan? Brother Cheng, if I ask Brother Luo to fight and go to the battlefield in the western region, will he agree? To build a career and fight on the battlefield, the key is that Brother Luo has produced modern mechanical troops and large troops equipped with hot weapons. Even if I'm a soldier, it must not be too dangerous, right? Yun Yi had this idea, and couldn't stop it. He wanted to go out of the city, to find Luo Wen right now. Well, if you have this determination, why not go and ask tomorrow and you will know. Yun Yi has been in love with Lianlan for a long time. After more than a year of getting along, although it is not the kind of day and night together, he has gradually forgotten the memory of Zhao Ran. The image of the eldest Princess Lianlan, from vague to clear, and then covered, has occupied Yun Yi's entire heart. He usually acts frivolously and timidly, but for the sake of his beloved girl, Yun Yi also mustered up the courage, and risked his life, thinking about going to the battlefield. Love is nothing more than a manifestation of the high secretion of sex hormones. If there is any meaning, it is to make men and women who can't stand each other's shortcomings suddenly see each other's shortcomings and only see the shining points of each other. The next day, the sky was bright, and the soldiers who returned to the city to say goodbye to their relatives probably celebrated all night and did not get up from their beds because they were exhausted physically and mentally. The Western Expedition Army totaled 200,000, and the 10,000 fully mechanized special forces had been training for 2 whole months and gradually adapted to various operations and tactics. The remaining 190,000 troops also took off their armor, put down their spears, waist knives, and bows, and replaced them with new uniforms, marching backpacks, rifles and daggers. As for throwing weapons, they will not be issued until wartime. so as to avoid non-combat casualties before going to the border of the western region. Although the commander of the army is still undecided, the mechanized troops have been handed over to Zhang Miao. Many dignitaries and royal nobles have tried their best to let their children join this special force, not only because of safety, but also because everyone knows very well that Zhang Miao is a subordinate of the immortal master Luo Wen. As long as they have contact with him, it is equivalent to having a relationship with the immortal master who is elusive. If the Emperor of Tang wants to see the immortal master, it depends on the immortal master's mood. Those dignitaries have no way to do it. I heard that Miss Xinyu of the Lu family is a direct disciple of the immortal master, so she arranged for her grandfather to go to Xinghua Fang to meet the immortal master. After that day, Lu Shao changed his propaganda ideas. He no longer said the king is the king, the minister is the minister, the father is the father, and the son is the son, but changed to preaching everyone is equal, men and women are equal. Go faster, don't be too late. Luo Zhen is not at home, and you can't even have soup in the end. Yunyi opened his eyes at home, and found that the sun was already high above his head. He hurriedly asked the Yun family's coachman to harness the horse, and then went out of the city to Xinghua Fang. Along the way, it was not just Yunyi who was there. The soldiers who returned to the camp early were countless. The achievement was just around the corner, and they had to set off early tomorrow morning. How could they not take it seriously? The Emperor of Tang and the Ministry of Rites were originally going to hold a ceremony for the expedition, but Luo Wen refused. Why celebrate before the achievement? War has never been entertainment, nor is it about right or wrong. Can the morale aroused by the soldiers be maintained after the celebration? Then all the new equipment, as well as the strictly enforced training, and the sweat of the soldiers, are all the credit brought by the celebration. Soldiers are the sharp sword of the country. They are the people's support. They are an invincible army. What Luo Wen wants is not only morale, but also to make them understand a truth. In addition to public opinion and morale, they must always keep their will clear for the future of the country. Also, who are they fighting for? Not the Emperor of Tang, not the immortal master Luo Wen, but for themselves and their own descendants. Chapter 179 Undercurrent. Your Highness, the court officials are willing to support His Majesty the King of Wei in commanding the army. Although I insist on the order of seniority, Your Highness should take the military merit this time, but I'm a little overwhelmed by it. The morning court had just ended, and the Emperor of Tang just mentioned that the Crown Prince should guard Chang'an and not take risks. All the civil and military officials agreed. Li Chengqian was already in a bad mood, and he was pulled aside by Hao Junji at this time, which made him feel even worse. Uncle Hao, King is my younger brother. Even if he leads the army, I'm willing. I just hope that I can go on the expedition smoothly and contribute my own strength to the conquest of the Turks. Of course, the uneasiness in his heart could not be shown on his face. If Li Chengqian didn't even have this little cunning, how could he keep the position of Crown Prince? Oh, the prince is so righteous and considerate of the deep brotherly love. I admire him deeply. I'm afraid that the rumors will become true. When that happens, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wei will really take the order to lead the army and conquer the entire Turkic territory. The position of the prince. Alas. I'm worried too much. Hao Junji has the merit of following the dragon, but he is different from other generals. King Kaiang, Cheng Yaojin, Li Jing, Yachi Jingde, they all led the army in the court and held important positions. However, Hao Junji is just an idle position. No one cares whether he goes to the court or not. Perhaps everyone doubts him in their hearts. When the Xuanwu Gate incident occurred, Hao Junji did not choose to stand on the side of the King of Qin until the last moment. Li Anlan's biological mother, Shan Ruolan, was also killed by the arrows of the chaotic army because he failed to rescue her in time. Not to mention the doubts of others, Hao Junji himself knows that his current position is very embarrassing. But the more marginalized he is, the more he wants to move to the center of power. Luo Wen was not at the Western Expedition camp in the southern suburbs at noon, because he did not plan to go with the army. If he wanted to do it himself, why would he train the army and give the name of going down in history to the Tang Emperor for expanding the territory? He destroyed a country alone, which was probably more efficient than the Western Expedition Army with modern weapons and equipment, and there would be fewer accidents. Luo Wen himself was more confident than the Western Expedition Army in terms of logistics supply for 200,000 troops and control of the Turkic manpower. He would not easily trust outsiders, even if there were mechanized troops trained by himself, but in Luo Wen's heart, he always made the worst plan, and all the losses were borne by himself, resources, energy, and personnel. Anyway, experiencing the world is just to accumulate experience for yourself. Emperor Tang, are you planning to use Lite to take over the throne for the Crown Prince as a final test? In the Imperial study, all the eunuchs and palace maids were ordered by Emperor Tang to withdraw, but an unnoticed figure sat opposite Emperor Tang on the couch. It was the immortal master Luo Wen. Gulp, gurgle, immortal master, haha, your electric kettle is really magical and extremely convenient. Come, let me make you a cup of tea. I hope you don't mind. The electric kettle on the table was gurgling with steam, and Emperor Tang, a son of heaven, personally poured water and served tea at this time. If an outsider walked in and saw it, I'm afraid his jaw would drop. However, if he saw clearly that the person sitting opposite him was the immortal master Luo Wen, he would probably understand and think it was normal. Compared with the emperor, the immortals are not on the same level at all. Of course, the immortals are more noble. Kink is kind-hearted and easily impulsive. This time, letting him lead the Western Expedition Army will be a great training for him. As for Chinkian, he is weak in character. Although he is quick-witted and respectful to others, he is easily deceived. Alas, master, you don't have children, so I'm afraid you don't understand the helplessness of me as a father. That's right, the Tang Emperor did intend to appoint Li Te as the commander-in-chief in the court. He even advised Wei Zheng and several close ministers to spread the news for him. What the Tang Emperor wanted to know was nothing more than to confirm the character of Crown Prince Li Qingqian. Would he accept his arrangement out of consideration for the Brotherhood, or would he resist his yearning for power and take the first step? As parents, we always want to leave the best things to our offspring, and we worry about their growth. Emperor Tang, family rule is bound to be eliminated by history, and if a country wants to be stable and long-term, it must permanently solve the problem of internal friction. Why not consider people under the sky manage world affairs? People under the sky manage world affairs? Family rule, internal friction? The immortal master's words are always so unexpected, but I still need to think about it carefully. Emperor Tang, I'm just suggesting. I don't care whether you listen or not. After all, I'm just passing through this world. This 3 years may have seemed like a difficult time to Luo Wen before. A 25-year-old young man is just that inexperienced. But with more experience, Luo Wen's thoughts and mentality have changed unconsciously. Respect for life is sometimes not just about caring and pretending, but about choice. What Luo Wen has to do now is to keep making choices, choose the path that the main world will take in the future, and then use the other world to verify it. Although everyone has the right to live, it is better to add bricks and tiles to Luo Wen's realization than to waste it internally. Just like now, helping a feudal and backward dynasty to conquer the world with the momentum of Mount Te, instead of just guarding a small piece of land. It is self-important and called the Heavenly Kingdom. Natural disasters, foreign invasions, backward governance, slow development, all these things are filled with human lives for the people of the Tang dynasty. However, Luo Wen wants to try his own way. In order to have more room for maneuver and a larger population base, leaving a more advanced development direction, so that more people can understand enlightenment, the eyes should be placed on the starry sky. That night, at the Duke of Chen's mansion, Lord, get up. What a big courage. Now under the jurisdiction of the Tang Emperor, there are still titles. When the princes compete for hegemony, what, are you thinking of starting a rebellion at any time and re-seizing the throne of the Emperor? In the study, the candlelight flickered, illuminating the bodies of 2 people, and their shadows were stretched onto the wall. It was late at night and they didn't light a few more lights, but they were acting so quietly and furtively. If you say they are not discussing conspiracies, I'm afraid outsiders will not believe it. Thank you, my lord. You called me back this time. Are you going to use that person? It's time. Is that person foolproof? My lord, everything is as you expected. He has never given up the idea of revenge. Since the melee that night, he was injured and paralyzed on one side of his body, and the resentment in his heart has grown deeper and deeper. Very good. With your observation over the years, do you think he has any doubts about what happened back then? Yes, my lord. He once told his subordinates that, in order to stay away from power struggles, the Mo family has been living as carpenters, and living in seclusion in the city. At that time, he and his clansmen were repairing the palace in the west in a courtyard, when they suddenly received a secret order to stay away from the central plains. They left with Shan Ruolan, who came to meet them. The past is like the wind, but it is still vivid in their minds, especially for Hao Junji, who has a white goat beard and cloudy eyes. Although he served under the King of Qin at the beginning, he was more optimistic about Crown Prince Li Jiancheng in the fight for the throne. That is, when the King of Qin launched the Zuanwu Gate incident, Hao Junji originally intended to stay out of it and respond to the order of the prince. However, the sudden arrival of Shan Ruolan and the Mohist disciples forced him to choose to cut off this new force for the King of Qin. However, what Hao Junji did not expect was that in order to show his loyalty to the prince, the King of Qin actually broke through the siege and won the victory in the fight for the throne. However, he had already ordered the shooting of the Mohist disciples and their master Shan Ruolan. The lesser of two evils, Hao Junji was furious and went to support the King of Qin. He simply went all out and raised his sword to support the King of Qin. Then he pushed Shan Ruolan's death onto the rebellious army. Now, more than 10 years have passed. Shan Ruolan's daughter has found Chang'an, and among the Mohist disciples, there is still a chess piece who survived by chance. Hao Junji felt that he did not succeed at the beginning, but he will succeed this time. He can't choose the wrong prince twice. If he chooses the wrong prince once, okay, we must succeed this time no matter what. I have raised him for so many years. It's time for him to serve me with his life this time. Lianlan, I will find a way to arrange a meeting between the two of them. The army will set out tomorrow, and only the prince is left in Chang'an City. As long as Liu dies, I don't believe that my Hao family will always sit on the bench. My lord is wise. I will follow you until death. Haha. Chapter 180, Granted Marriage. Creak, creak. Oh, where did Brother Luo go? It's dark. Why hasn't he come back yet? The Western Expedition Camp has already counted the soldiers, and they will get on the bus to the northwest border on time when the commander arrives tomorrow. At the entrance of the extremely wide Xinghua Fang, the further you go inside, the brighter the lights are. The government building, which is manned 24 hours a day, is not far away. There is a lounge inside, and tea and snacks are served. But Yanyi can't sit still inside. He rushed here from noon, and waited until dark. Although Manager Chen saw it, it may be that Luo Wen had told him that those who came to see him should be treated well, and if he was in the Xinghua Fang Valley, he could also come to pass on the message. But Luo Wen went out at noon and never came back, and he didn't tell where he went. Manager Chen could only let Yanyi continue to wait. Hey, why are you looking for me? It's dark. Why don't you go back to sleep? What are you doing in Xinghua Fang? Huh? Brother Luo, you are finally back. I have been waiting for you for a long time. In the dark night, Luo Wen, dressed in a green shirt, appeared from nowhere. I wonder if he used the earth escape technique. Yanyi was thinking of all kinds of immortal magic, but unfortunately Luo Wen used flying in the air. Luo Wen patted his shoulder and motioned him to sit down and talk in the administrative building. I want to join the army. I also want to go to the western regions to kill the enemy and make meritorious service. Brother Luo, do you think you can find a backdoor for me? Huh? Why didn't you tell me before? Now the Western Expedition Army is about to set off. You suddenly want to join the army to kill the enemy, but you didn't seem to be here during the training. Luo Wen treated Yanyi as a modern person who traveled through ancient times. It was definitely not the case that they had a good relationship. It was just that Luo Wen was used to being generous to others, so he gave him a little more face. Haha, Brother Luo, I have been here for more than a year. You are an immortal with extraordinary abilities, so of course you don't care about these material things. But besides a Yun County man, I also have a large group of Yun family relatives. Now I don't even have a girlfriend, let alone a stable career to settle down. We all came here through time travel. Brother Luo, please help me again. He youngly nodded and acted like a good boy. It seemed that he had fallen in love and wanted to perform well so that he could give the girl a bright future and life. If you want to start a career, I can put the Xinghua Fang in Chang'an City under your charge. The monthly salary is 1000 guan, and there will be dividends at the end of the year. How about it? This is much safer than joining the army and going to the battlefield. Thank you, Brother Luo, but, alas, it's not about money. I like Lianlan. Don't you know that her father is the emperor? If I only have money, her father will definitely look down on me. Haha, isn't she just a princess? Can't I ask the emperor of Tang to grant you a marriage? You have thin arms and legs, and you didn't participate in the training. If you go to the western regions to fight, you'd better not cause trouble for others. Huh? Really? Brother Luo, don't lie to me. Don't worry, I mean what I say. Stay in Chang'an. Being a soldier and fighting is not suitable for you. Woo, bang bang, bang bang. The roar of a train came faintly in the distance. This trip is to conquer, not to invade, to eliminate all forces that dare to resist. Don't the Turks think that life outside the Great Wall is poor? Let them be the people of the Tang Dynasty. Zhang Miao understands. Please rest assured, Commander. Zhang Miao led a neat and uniformed team. This is a special force directly under the Xinghua Square. Everyone has been trained by Luo Wen in person, and he even passed on the method of internal cultivation to them at great expense. Luo Wen used the gathering spirit formation to force all of these 1000 people to have the strength of innate warriors. Well, I don't have anything to tell you. Be careful and pay attention to safety along the way. Yes, stand at attention and salute. Swish, bang. 1000 people turned around and stood at attention, looking at the man in blue with fanatical eyes. Although Army Commander Luo Wen was handsome and even looked younger than them, everyone regarded Army Commander Luo Wen as their benefactor. They regarded Luo Wen as their teacher and idol, and placed him in the most important position in their hearts. They all raised their right hands and hammered on their left chests. Admiration and worship turned into a sonorous and powerful military salute. Swish, bang, let's go. Luo Wen also took the same posture. His face was rarely serious, and there was a hint of good wishes in his eyes. He stood up, stamped his feet, and punched his chest with his right fist. Wow, snap, snap. The wind is rising, and the clouds are flying, and we are returning home with our might and power. The wind is rising, and the clouds are flying, and we are returning home with our might and power. Zhang Miao shouted the slogan, and the special forces behind him also sang in unison. Luo Wen stood quietly at the entrance of the square, watching the team, neat and valiant, walking out of the Xinghua Fang. He felt a little sad and reluctant, but more of it was expectation, expecting them to return safely. Those tanks, transport vehicles, and heavy weapons had already been loaded onto the train. I'm afraid that the Zizheng railway station will be very busy today. Li Tai took office and served as the commander of the Zizheng army, and the Xinghua army, as the instructor group, was also spread across the middle-level commanders and fighters in the army. That's right, it's not about huddling together for warmth, but optimizing the entire army so that the combat effectiveness of all troops can be maximized. This was also Luo Wen's previous worry. After all, swords have no eyes, and innate warriors will still be piled up to death. Luo Wen limited the number of troops to 200,000 in the Western expedition. First, there were only 700,000 troops in the entire Tang dynasty. Second, 200,000 troops equipped with hot weapons were already a great overestimation of the Turks. If there were more troops, Luo Wen would be too cautious. Considering that the Turks' territory was not weaker than that of the Tang dynasty at that time, but nomadic peoples had always had more livestock than people, low productivity, and a population of less than 5 million, compared with the Tang dynasty, it was no wonder that they were called barbarians who ate raw meat and drank blood. Steadily advance until the main force of the Turks fights and eliminates most of the Turkic cavalry's manpower. Then you can break up the whole into pieces in order to quickly conquer the Turkic tribes in the western regions, and then completely bring the Turkic territory under the jurisdiction of the Tang dynasty. As for the subsequent takeover, it will naturally be the officials sent by the Tang Emperor. All of this is the overall plan that Luo Wen and Emperor Tang had discussed. What kind of changes will there be on the actual battlefield depends on the adaptability of the Western Expedition Army. But there is one thing: to eliminate the adult males of the Turks and reduce the chance of their rebellion after naturalization. This is something that all generals must be aware of. Woo, bang bang, bang bang, white steam gushed into the air from the locomotive. Whether it is a steam locomotive or an electric multiple unit, it is either pulling equipment and logistics supplies, or pulling soldiers with a determined face and excitement. In short, everyone's destination is the same, that is, the northwest border. They will complete the assembly within 3 days, and then rush into the Turkic territory. Emperor Tang, I'm here to act as a matchmaker for Yunyi. He wants to marry your daughter Lianlan. Master, tell me the truth. Don't be angry. If it were you, you could pick any of my princesses. But Yun, he actually asked to marry my eldest daughter. I'm really reluctant. Between men and women, it should be based on mutual consent. Why doesn't Emperor Tang ask Princess Anyang if she is willing to marry Yunyi? Haha, Luo Wen is sometimes very strong, but he won't force anyone. After all, this is not for himself. Although Yunyi acts a little frivolously, he is honest and has a lively and cheerful personality. Don't you and Empress Changsun like him very much? Well, that's true. Oh, forget it. Wash. Go find Anlan, and I'll ask her what she thinks in person. Yes, Your Majesty. Thank you, Brother Luo. Thank you, Your Majesty. Sure enough, in this kind of matter, Brother Luo's face is still reliable. Yunyi was extremely happy at this time, and he was looking forward to Lianlan's appearance. Chapter 181 Ridiculous. According to my observations over the past few days, the gate here has been closed for a long time, and no one has ever entered or left. There must be something fishy. This corner of the street is a bit remote, and there are fewer people coming and going than in other places. On the porch, there is indeed a unique mark of the Mohist school, a swift with its wings spread. This undoubtedly made Gang Shumu, who was active in Chang'an, suspicious. After all, more than 10 years ago, all the Mohist disciples had already left the territory of the Tang dynasty. He also returned to the central plains from the outer border to protect Lianlan. Lianlan, wearing a crimson coat, tied his hair into a man's bun. He was holding his straight knife and fully armed. It is estimated that he sneaked out of the palace again. Then let's go in and search carefully. Since there are Mohist marks, there must be Mohist disciples active here. Well, remember to be careful. Gang Shumu, as one of the most outstanding disciples of this generation of Mohist school, why did he come to Chang'an alone? It is estimated that in addition to worrying about Lianlan's safety, there is also a bit of worry in it. The two found a shorter, unoccupied courtyard wall, took a deep breath and jumped, and climbed over the several meter high wall. The door was locked with an iron general, but the courtyard and room inside seemed to be cleaned and tidied regularly. Otherwise, why would it be so neat and tidy? It should be overgrown with weeds and full of dust. There's someone in the house. The courtyard was quiet, but there was a slight breathing sound in the middle room. Wow, creak. The two were on guard, with weapons in their hands across their bodies, ready to deal with danger at any time. Pushing open the half-open door, an old man with a wooden box in his hand was sitting in a wheelchair, looking at them with tears in his eyes. Adoptive father. Plop. Gang Shumu was older than Lianlan, and he remembered his old acquaintances in his heart. Seeing the old man's appearance clearly, he knelt on the ground and called out affectionately, "Uncle Shan? You are Uncle Shan. How is that possible?" Although Lianlan's movements were a little slow, she also knelt on the ground with full of guts and affectionately addressed the disabled old man in front of her. Mua greets his adoptive father. Lena greets Uncle Shan. Get up. Although I can't move, I still have to be polite. I just want to ask you, should I pay you the respects of the head of the Mohist school, or the respects of the Tang dynasty princess? Although the old man was excited, his face was extremely cold. The wooden box in his hand was also inadvertently aimed at them. I'm afraid the wooden box is a Mohist hidden weapon. Uncle Shan, Lena will always be a Mohist. After hearing Lianlan's affirmative answer, the old man slowly let go of the fuse of the wooden box, and he let out a breath, as if he was a little relieved in his heart. Lena, if you are greedy for wealth and honor now, and take the thief as your father, I will die with you today. Let you confront your mother who died unjustly in the underworld. Huh. Take the thief as your father, Uncle Shan. What do you mean by this? What is the hidden story behind my mother's death? Alas. People are chess pieces, and they have no choice, just like Lianlan at this moment, and the paralyzed Chan Leo, they are all the same. The reason why they meet again is entirely because someone wants them to reunite, and after more than 10 years of brainwashing, I'm afraid that Chan Leo has long been unable to distinguish who is his own and who is the villain. In the palace, Wash hurried to the imperial study, and behind him was a little palace maid with an innocent expression and a determined look. Your Majesty, Princess Anyang. She sneaked out of the palace again. How dare you? Linglong, tell me when Princess Anyang went out, and where she went. The Tang Emperor was a little embarrassed. He had just been indignant with Master Luo Wen, saying that Yunyi was not worthy of his precious daughter. Now, she ran away from time to time. How could she be a virtuous and kind princess? Your Majesty, please forgive me. Your Majesty, please forgive me. Linglong really doesn't know where the eldest princess went. In front of the majestic and furious Emperor Tang, the little maid was of course scared to the ground and begged for mercy. She was even more out of control, only knowing to admit her guilt, but refusing to answer the questions of the Tang Emperor. What a loyal maid, isn't she? Your Majesty, forget it. The princess has returned to the palace now, and will soon be in her Zunfeng palace. Eunuch Wash, how about you run another trip? Master, does he really have the ability to predict the future? How could he know that the princess was back, even though they were separated by several palaces? Okay, Linglong, get up. The immortal master has pleaded for you. I won't bother with you this time. Wash, go. Woo, Linglong, thank the immortal master. Thank your Majesty. Wow, the immortal master is so beautiful. This time, he is so close, and he can see her more clearly than the last time he saw her from afar. The crying little palace maid secretly looked at Luo Wen with her big eyes. She finally stopped shaking, but she happened to meet Luo Wen's gentle eyes. Her cheeks flushed, and she dared not move again. The immortal master looked at me. He looked at me. His eyes are so deep, and his smile is so warm. Princess Anyang is here, Your Majesty. Ta-ta, ta-ta. She was still wearing the clothes she wore when she left the palace, and the panic in her eyes was replaced by madness and resentment when she saw Emperor Tang, and the straight knife in Lianlan's hand seemed to be tighter at this time. You little girl, why did you sneak out again? How disgraceful. Why don't you go and see the immortal master? Lianlan walked into the room and turned to look at Luo Wen, who had a calm face. As for Yunyi, who wanted to come forward to greet her, Lianlan was not in the mood to pay attention to him for the time being. Murderous intent. Miss Li, I don't know why you have the intention to kill someone in the room. Why don't you tell me and let me hear if there is any injustice? Master, what's wrong with you? Lena, why are you so abnormal today? Not only do you not know the etiquette, but you are also holding a weapon. Luo Wen waved his hand, signaling the Emperor Tang not to get excited. He took a few steps forward and stood in front of Lianlan, blocking her gaze from the Emperor Tang. Miss Li, as a friend who has known each other for a long time, I'm not on the side of the Emperor Tang. If you really want to kill him, why don't you tell me? Maybe I can lend you a hand. What? Lianlan's murderous intent is directed at His Majesty. Swish. Wash flashed and stood in front of the Emperor Tang in an instant. The little palace maid's eyes flickered, completely confused. How could the princess who was fine before leaving today become the regicide now? Master, he killed my mother, but I was deceived by this man and recognized him as my father. Do you think I should seek justice for my mother? Woo, bang. The long knife in her hand fell to the ground. The girl was so excited that she could no longer control herself. Lianlan was a very strong person. Whether in front of Han Funu, the emperor, or Yunyi, she kept the secret in her heart and was unwilling to show her weak side just because these people could not solve these troubles and sorrows for her. However, Luo Wen was different, because there was no interest relationship between them, and he had no need to deceive Li Anlin. Mr. Luo, my mother risked her life to save him, but he was so heartless that he had people shoot my mother to death, just to win over the aristocratic families, and did not want to recognize my mother, and make her the queen. The Tang Emperor was stunned, with an incredible look on his face. He seemed to be completely unable to understand why Li Anlin thought of him like this. Master Luo, I have a witness. Uncle Xian saw it with his own eyes. It was he who ordered the shooting of my mother. By the way, can you help me cure Uncle Xian's leg disease? Master Luo, Anlan, please. No, Li Anlan, what are you talking about? What about His Majesty shooting your mother? What about Uncle Xian? Who is he? Yun Yi was completely frightened. He really didn't know what to do now. No matter which side he stood on, he couldn't afford the loss. Are you done? Luo Wen didn't speak for a long time, just listened quietly. Even if he didn't know the plot, he could tell whether they were guilty or not by watching their expressions change. However, Emperor Tang did not feel guilty, and neither did Li Anlin. So, as for the right and wrong, why not let Emperor Tang and your Uncle Xian confront each other face to face? Alas, yes, the immortal master is right. Lena, you have wronged your father. It was clearly the rebel army that shot and killed your mother, and Yu Chen witnessed it with his own eyes. How can you say that I ordered the killing of your mother, my beloved woman? But my Uncle Xian, okay, let's go find him now and confront him face to face. There was no point for Li Anlin to say more, and compared to everyone present, she had an inexplicable absolute trust in Luo Wen. It could be his strength, or it could be his selfless behavior. Chapter 182, Selfish Desire. Lena, why did you bring Leo with you? Is your father more important than the Mo family? The room was opened, and an old man sitting in a wheelchair was full of anger. He pointed at the group of people who came in, and his words were full of loneliness and helplessness, as if he felt that his time was coming. Nerve rupture, muscle atrophy, but fortunately, it can be cured. Miss Lee, give this to him. Luo Wen ignored what Xian Hezi was saying, just scanned with his eyes, and then took out a sheep fat jade bottle, the same as the one that cured Qin Huaiyu. The Tang Emperor who walked in seemed to recognize the old man in front of him, but his face was full of memories of the past, and Xian Hezi obviously resented him for a long time, and obviously couldn't listen to what he said, so he just stood in the room silently, and didn't speak for the time being. Uncle Xian, this is Master Luo Wen. Take this pill quickly. Master? Didn't you bring them here to expose me? Xian Hezi was stunned. Just through the door, the prefectus guards were already standing outside. If they wanted to do something to him, why would they be so hypocritical? After eating the pill, everyone could see with their naked eyes that something was growing and squirming in Xian Hezi's trouser legs. But after a few moments, Xian Hezi burst into tears and stood up tremblingly. Thank you, Master. Xian Hezi has nothing to repay you. Please accept my greetings. No matter who they are, or what they have experienced, they have to admit in front of the methods of the immortals that when human power is limited, many things are indeed far beyond the understanding of ordinary people. I helped you cure your leg disease because of Miss Lee, and I'm also very curious about what kind of grudges there are between you Mohists and the Emperor of Tang, that you want to kill him as soon as possible. When it comes to secrets, there are only 4 people in the room at this time, the Emperor of Tang, Li Anlin, Luo Wen, and Xian Hezi. The rest of the onlookers were ordered to retreat. I dare not hide the truth from the immortal master. At the beginning, Liu started an uprising at Zuanwu Gate, but was besieged by the prince's army and the king of Qi's army. My sister Xian Ruolan led my Mohist disciples to rescue. Woo, but he ordered his generals to shoot us with arrows. Xian Hezi said with tears in his eyes, as if he had witnessed it with his own eyes. Bullshit. When I and my soldiers were fighting fiercely with others at Zuanwu Gate, how could I have time, and how could I give such an order? As soon as Xian Hezi finished speaking, the Emperor of Tang, Li Shimin, loudly rebuked, with an innocent face, as if he had been greatly insulted. Hey, both sides have their own opinions, which is unconvincing. Old Xian, since you insist that the Emperor of Tang sent people to kill you, to silence you. Do you have any witnesses or physical evidence? Luo Wen waved his hand, not wanting them to argue here in vain. I was seriously injured by an arrow and unconscious at the time. I vaguely saw the captain who gave the order took out a Qinhuang token, and there were traces of burning on it. I couldn't be wrong. That was Leo's token. Xian Heezy had a reason, and when he talked about the Qinhuang token, the face of Emperor Tang Li Shimin finally changed. However, it didn't seem like he was helpless after being exposed. Instead, he was full of suspicion, with his eyes showing thinking and doubt, as if he was recalling the Qinhuang token in his hand. Who was the most suspicious? Master, the Qinhuang token is indeed mine, but there are 4 in total: Shen Guogang, Yachi Jingde, Cheng Yaojin, and Hao Junji. Oh. Things took a turn for the better. Obviously, in the heart of Emperor Tang, there was already a suspect. When the battle just happened, Duke Shen went to the west in a courtyard to find the emperor, while Yachi Jingde and Cheng Yaojin have been fighting beside me. In other words, Hao Junji, damn it, he deceived me so badly. Old Shen, you survived from the pile of dead bodies. It is impossible for you to live in Chang'an City for a long time under an assumed name. Luo Wen suddenly changed his tone and asked another question for everyone. Yes, Uncle Shen, you haven't told Lena who sent you here. Someone should also send you living expenses, right? This, impossible. Did he lie to me for more than 10 years just to make me believe that it was Leah who ordered the annihilation of all our mohists? Xian Heezy, who was slumped in the wheelchair, had no face to look at Lianlin and Emperor Tang. Maybe he also realized that he was obviously used as a chess piece to alienate their father-daughter relationship, and almost made a big mistake. Wait, General Wang, the man who took care of me, he said he was once a general under Jing Junhong. Could he? Xian Heezy took the initiative to confess the lifesaver who had been taking care of her, but now it seems that General Wang's true identity is far from that simple. Old news. Conspiracy, power, desire, human heart. It is really complicated. Emperor Tang, since you have already made a judgment in your heart, then this General Wang is obviously not that important. Just another unlucky guy who was bewitched by others. What do you think? Alas, Master, don't take everything to heart. It's a good mood. Wash, let the 4 people who held my Qinhuang token bring the token to me as soon as possible, especially Hao Junji. Let the 100 Cavalry Division go in person. The Emperor Tang shouted, and the chief guard outside agreed to take the order and left. Duke Shen, Cheng Yaojin, Yachi Jingde, and Hao Junji, who had a sinister face and wavering eyes, all rushed to this small courtyard facing the street holding a small wooden box. Greetings, Your Majesty. Stand up. Back then at the Zuanwu Gate, the Mohist disciples and Shan Ruolan all died under the arrows of the chaotic army. I thought so at first, but I was sad and secretly hated myself for not being able to foresee it in advance. However, Shan Ruolan's brother survived, and there is something complicated going on. The eyes of the Tang Emperor were like sharp swords, high above him. Among the 4 people, except for one person, the other 3 all had unfriendly eyes, revealing an expression that they shared the same hatred for the enemy as the Tang Emperor. Okay, I think Miss Shan's death was strange. With her martial arts and the protection of so many Mohist disciples, how could a group of miscellaneous soldiers kill them so easily? Humph. Cheng Yaojin stepped forward, his eyes scanning the faces of the people around him, but after a back and forth, he locked onto the expressionless Hao Junji, because he was the one who came to report the news of the death, and now his behavior was the most abnormal. He was really too calm. Your Majesty, although I, Yachi Jingde, have seldom interacted with Miss Shan, there is someone who dared to plot ill and use her death to make a fuss. I will not let him off easily. You tell me who he is, and I will take him down now. Your Majesty, please tell me who this person is, as I don't even know a thing about him. The old and frail Duke of Shen, Gao Shilian, was the uncle of Empress Changsun. As long as the interests of the Changsun and Gao families were not infringed, he obviously would not make enemies with others, let alone kill the beloved woman of Emperor Tang. After all, the Empress had been established. Hao Junji, you are still so silent. Are you looking for a chance to attack me personally? Protect the Emperor. Protect the Emperor. Wash led the Praetorian guards to surround Hao Junji, while the other 3 unrelated people had already stood beside the Emperor Tang, looking at Hao Junji with complicated eyes, as if they did not understand why Duke Chen, who had the merit of following the Emperor, would do such a treasonous thing. Haha, Alia, I have been planning for many years, but I failed here. Can you tell me where the mistake was? Hao Junji suddenly jumped up and was ready to reach out to snatch the sword of the Praetorian guards, but his 5 fingers formed claws and his body suddenly stiffened and could not move. Yes, in front of the immortal master, failure is already doomed. Hao Junji looked at the young man who had been silent all this time. He stood out from the crowd and was extraordinary. It was obviously him who made the move. He closed his eyes silently, and his aura also died down. He no longer had the heart to resist. You ordered Rulan to be shot, and secretly rescue Chan Hezi, letting him bewitch Lena, and kill my father and daughter. What a cruel heart. What a cruel heart. Hao Junji, I ask you, we were once kings and ministers, and I have never treated you unfairly. Why do you want to go against me like this? The Tang Emperor looked crazy, which might be a pain in his heart for many years. Now he found out that it was actually the betrayal of the people around him. How can he not be angry? How can he not be murderous? Humph, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Why does your majesty have to act like a daughter? What I didn't expect was that a great immortal master would be willing to be your running dog. Hao Junji. Thunder strikes. Crack, boom. Hao Junji didn't even finish his words, and he turned into a pile of black ash on the ground. The villain dies because he talks too much, not to mention that when he is about to die, he still wants to vent his dissatisfaction in his heart and find some so-called excuses for himself. And the most inappropriate thing is to mention him, Luo Wen. Immortal master, I still have some things to ask. Why did you? The guards in the courtyard were shocked, and Emperor Tang and Lianlin were the most puzzled. They hadn't vented their emotions yet. Why did the immortal master just do it? It doesn't matter who he killed, but he scolded me. That's why he deserves to die. Also, Emperor Tang, you have to remember one thing. If he is upright, others dare not disobey. You should reflect on yourself. Miss Li, your great revenge has been avenged, and you should cherish your future life. You must know that the dead are gone. Yan Yi, I promised you, and I have done it for you. You still have to rely on yourself for the future. If you have time, you should go to Tsinghua University and study again. Don't always think that good luck can bless you for life. Luo Wen didn't stay any longer, and he flew up directly into the air and disappeared leisurely into the sky. For everyone in the courtyard, this was the first time they saw with their own eyes how the immortal master was free to come and go under a clear sky. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 Upset. Compared with modern society, everyone's mind is on making money and entertainment, but there are fewer and fewer people with conspiracies and complicated minds. Many people's thoughts are directly revealed on their faces and behaviors. In ancient times, with a small population base and extremely difficult living environment, the powerful class put all their minds on intrigue and fighting for power and profit. Maybe this is the instinct of creatures. The more one aspect is satisfied, the other side will be missing. To ensure survival, what you want is spiritual pursuit, and spiritual abundance requires countless resources to accumulate. Luo Wen failed. It was not that the spark shop he founded failed, but that in 3 years, he could not change everyone's ideas at all, so that people's wisdom could be awakened, and the rule of law and human rights could override the imperial power. On the contrary, Yan Yi gradually adapted to this era, ordered things with a domineering attitude, and enjoyed the convenience brought by the powerful class. The number of slaves and servants in the family also increased year by year. But Luo Wen also succeeded, leaving behind the seeds of science. With the existence of Tsinghua Fang, the living standards of the people of the entire Tang dynasty were changed, so that everyone could have no worries about food and clothing, and they could get resources and rewards to feed more people with the same labor as before. The Turks were completely conquered in just 3 months. The number of Turkic men decreased greatly, and the rest were old, weak, women and children. After returning to the court, Lite's momentum in the army soared, and he gained a group of loyal supporters, and had the power to compete with Li Qingqian. However, when the Emperor of Tang wanted to take the opportunity to issue an edict to reward the teaching group, Zhang Miao directly led the special forces of Xinhua Fang back to the military camp in the dense forest, which made the civil and military officials of the court sigh, but also understood a fact, that is, the immortal master had absolute control over Xinhua Fang, and it allowed Xinhua Fang to maintain its transcendent status of keeping itself out of trouble. The Academy of Xinhua Fang continued to expand throughout the country as the Tang dynasty expanded its territory. Unknown to outsiders, the headquarters of Xinhua Fang began to move, and stationed on an island called Penglei. It is rich in resources, and has a land area of nearly 50,000 square kilometers. Not to mention tens of thousands of people. Even if it is thousands or tens of thousands of times, it can still accommodate them. The Tang Emperor, who realized it later, also made an unnecessary order to give Penglei to Xinhua Fang forever. He was also considering whether to try out the voting election system, in which the royal family would retreat and slowly hand over the military power, legislative power, and judicial power, and only retain the power to confer honorary nobles, have industries that belong exclusively to the royal family, and enjoy tax exemptions. Ding, 3 years have passed, forced to return in 12 hours, please pay attention, host. Alas. Luo Wen looked at the blue sea and blue sky, which formed a line in the distance. Under the central building, the industrial area, commercial area, teaching area, and agricultural area spread out in the distance. The streets were busy and bustling, with vehicles coming and going. Everyone had their own duties, and everything was in order. The entire Xinhua Island had accumulated 500,000 refugees from the Tang dynasty at this time, and the natives of the surrounding islands and slaves trafficked from other places had also become citizens, with a total of about 400,000. According to the latest data from the statistics department, the total number of residents on the island was 1.01 million. It's time to go back. Let the future development of this place take its course. Luo Wen didn't say anything else, nor did he have anything to remember. If he really wanted to say anything, it was his good wishes for this world. He hoped that the Tang dynasty could continue to expand its territory, conquer the western regions, and continue to explore and conquer other regions. Luo Wen only hoped that the nations and races in this world would eventually be baptized by the Chinese culture system, return to the main world. Whoosh, a faint light flashed by, and the passers-by under the high-rise building seemed to feel something, and they all looked up at the glass curtain wall on the high ground. It was said that the man would always pay silent attention to everyone's work and life when he had nothing to do. On the top floor of the central government building was the immortal master who brought them a wonderful life today. Of course, they would rather call him Lord City Lord affectionately. However, Luo Wen could no longer feel their longing and grateful eyes, because at this time, he had returned to the main world of Blue Star with bright moon and sparse stars. Ding, return to the main world, no tasks, no rewards, storage space increased to 8M. System, come on. In the past 3 years, I have been improving people's livelihood and seeking welfare for tens of millions of civilians. How come I don't even have 100 trading points? There was no reaction at all. Alas, Luo Wen had nothing to say about such a system. System, open the personal panel. Host, Luo Wen race, human, level 0 technological civilization carbon-based organism. Abilities, strength 600, ordinary person 1, agility 600, ordinary person 1, stamina 600, ordinary person 1. Spirit 600, ordinary person 1, Maocean magic divine consciousness, 600 meters, telekinesis, 6,000 kilograms, realm, golden core realm, Maocean orthodoxy, talent, energy affinity, given by the system, vitality. 1000 trading points. 300 points storage space. 8 meters high. Luo Wen's cultivation in the golden core realm has just broken through to the middle stage. It's just that on the display of the system panel, the 4-dimensional attributes have increased by 100 each. but his vitality has not changed at all. It seems that his cultivation in the past 3 years has been nothing more than the same. 3 years of time was wasted in vain, but it seems to have achieved little effect. Alas, it is hard to describe. Luo Wen sat in the study room that he was slowly getting familiar with, and his consciousness was extended to the entire village. Except for the gentle breathing and the occasional movement of chickens, ducks, and livestock, everything was the same as before he traveled through time and space. Well, it's still my own world, which makes people feel most comfortable. In that ancient world, I always feel out of place. Yunyi, I don't know if he will return to his hometown on Earth and lose in Ayu, the female disciple. I don't know if she and the prince will live happily. Luo Wen looked at the quantum computer in front of him, hesitating whether to search for Tang Brick to see what kind of fate these familiar people will have in the plot. But he slowly retracted his hand that reached for the keyboard. The changes that have taken place in the parallel universe are obviously impossible to show in film and television works. For those who have already understood, Luo Wen does not want the film and television works to cause him a sense of tearing. After all, it is not the same thing at all, and everyone just looks alike. The butterfly effect, the fallacy of time travel. According to the system's explanation, every universe that shuttles through is a parallel real world. The changes in it will change because of the participation of the host. Therefore, the main world is developing according to its own trajectory, and the other worlds are the same. Boss, welcome back. Vacation plan is suspended, and the preparations for the star's voyage will continue. The voice of the star brain sounded in the air in the house, and in the air above the head, on the large screen of the empty bridge combat command room. The timer also automatically stopped and disappeared. Well, it feels good to be back. Luo Wen got up from the study, and the screen and lights of the quantum computer were automatically turned off. Wherever he walked, the lights would light up. In the bathroom in the bedroom, hot water had automatically started to sizzle. Chapter 184 Sudden Trouble. Oh, September 1st is the time for primary and secondary schools and high schools to start school. Those naughty kids who chase chickens and dogs in the village are also listless, but they are particularly looking forward to being sent to school by their parents to register. As for the freshmen who enter the university campus, it seems that they are receiving military training uniforms and will start a hard time for half a month. For example, Zhang Qian and Yihan are like this. Some people are calling their counselors to apply for leave of absence just because something happened at home. The family was very happy at the celebration banquet the day before yesterday. As a result, a car accident not only killed the head of the family, but also caused her mother to be hospitalized due to excessive grief. Even the company taken over by her father was snatched away by the elders in the family. More importantly, the huge purchase agreement originally signed by Chen Jingnian was also notified to her, who knew nothing, by her two uncles Chen Jinhe and Chen Yaogo. And this person is Chen Xian. After receiving a call in the early morning yesterday, she accompanied her mother to take a statement, then went to the hospital morgue to identify the person, and then her mother could not accept the blow and fainted in the hospital. Chen Xian was confused and followed the instructions of her two uncles, like a walking corpse, and she didn't know what she had done at all. For example, after signing the authorization letter and completing the procedures for taking a leave of absence, she was notified by her two ruthless uncles at the shareholders meeting that the purchase agreement signed by her father was invalid, and the subsequent legal responsibilities would be borne by her as the heir. However, the two uncles who showed their true colors turned around and said that her father had committed a serious fault and would not be held accountable since he had passed away, and kicked her out of the shareholders meeting with one foot. Click, click. Chen Xian, who was sitting silently in the company lobby, not knowing where to go, was attracted by the sound of high-heeled shoes approaching her ears. She looked lonely and the light in her eyes was dim. The innocent and beautiful girl who used to love to laugh had long disappeared. Xian, why are you still here? Didn't you go home yesterday? The person who came was pretty, with elegant hair and uniform, but there was also regret in her eyes, full of injustice. Oh, it's Sister Yuru. My mother is in the hospital, and my aunt is taking care of her. It's useless for me to go anywhere. Dad is gone, and I don't want the company he left behind to disappear inexplicably. But I really can't think of any way. I'm sorry for my dad. Woo. As she spoke, the little girl hugged her knees and huddled on the sofa in the hall and sobbed. However, her tears had already dried up in the past 2 days, and she hadn't eaten a single grain of rice. Her throat was hoarse, as if she was about to faint at any time. Those employees who passed by, except for a look from a distance and a look of sympathy, did not dare to run over and meddle in other people's business. Drink some water first. Haven't you had a good meal in the past 2 days? This is not good. If your body collapses, what will your mother do? Wu Yuru saw that her career was about to reach a higher level, but in one night, not only was her boss gone, but the leadership was also completely changed. She was fired from her position as store manager because of her participation in illegal procurement. Today, she was really dissatisfied and wanted to go to the headquarters to have a good talk with the new leader. Not to mention merit, but she couldn't be fired like this, right? A new emperor appoints new ministers. Why did she help Mr. Chen win a large order worth tens of billions? But now it has become a sin. Bullying. Too much bullying. The sun was about to rise to the middle of the sky, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning. Luo Wen packed up at 6 o'clock in the morning, went out for a jog, and then exercised in the small orchard. When he returned to the house, Luo Deke and Ren Gixiang had already finished breakfast and were busy in the vegetable garden. Of course, there was still millet porridge kept warm in the rice cooker in the kitchen, and the boiled eggs and corn were also placed on the table in the dining room, served on a plate. Luo Wen hadn't been home for a long time, so he spent 2 more hours to familiarize himself with the scenes in his memories. When the memories and the real world were completely integrated, breakfast time was inevitably delayed. Snore, snore, it's delicious. But no one was urging Luo Wen, and he didn't have any business to do in a hurry. Eating breakfast earlier or later was just to let Luo Wen enjoy the warmth and comfort of home. Bus creak, creak, click, click. Sister Yuru, is this the home of the man you mentioned? Well, when Mr. Luo signed the contract with us, I looked at his ID card, and his original address is indeed here, but a young and familiar royal sister's voice sounded in the open space outside the door, and across the long corridor in the living room. The 2 women who had just walked down from the red Audi also looked around a little uneasily. In the whole small village, only this one family seemed to be Luo Wen's home. The door of this house is open. Why don't we go in and ask? Sister Yuru, do you think that Mr. Luo will lose his temper with us and then drive us out? And we are asking him for help. Isn't this a bit inappropriate? The young girl seemed a little hesitant, and her voice slowly lowered. But things have reached a point where it can't be made worse. No matter what, she has to try it. What if there is really a turnaround here? It shouldn't be. Mr. Luo seems to be easy to talk to, but his personality and habits are a little weird. Huh? What's wrong with me? Manager Wu, what's wrong with you? Who is she? Luo Wen put down his empty bowl and walked out of the restaurant at the back. Seeing the 2 uninvited guests outside the door, he did not ask about the doubts in his heart, but behaved as usual. Ah, Mr. Luo, it's great to see you. I didn't expect you to be at home. Haha. Wu Yuru, who was wearing an all uniform, saw Luo Wen coming out of the villa. She was finally in the right place and she relaxed a lot. The girl next to her had a ponytail and the sadness on her face was particularly obvious. Her fair skin was so white under the sun that it seemed as if you could see the blood vessels inside. Hello, Mr. Luo, I'm Chen Xian, and Chen Jingnian is my father. I hope you don't mind my intrusion to come to you. Chen Xian behaved extremely carefully, even a little scared, but when she looked up and saw Luo Wen in front of her, she didn't show any unhappiness. Her gentle face and deep eyes gave people a feeling of incomparable peace of mind. She also agreed with what Sister Yuru had said beforehand, that Luo Wen really didn't seem like a person with a bad temper, and he was really handsome. Oh, hello, please come in and sit down first. If you have anything to say, please speak slowly. After Chen Jingnian had a car accident, Jinfu Jewelry was taken over by Chen Jinhu and Chen Yaogo. The installment payment agreement signed before was invalidated, and Chen Xian wanted to ask Luo Wen for help so that she could return to the shareholders meeting and legally inherit her father's legacy. What needs to be done now is to let Luo Wen find a way to confirm that the agreement they signed before is true and valid, or in other words, the top grade jadeite that Luo Wen sold to Jinfu Jewelry was based on a formal sales agreement. They can indirectly prove that the jadeite purchase agreement of Jinfu Jewelry is indeed owned by him, Luo Wen. Well, Mr. Chen is dead, and the company has been taken over by your uncle, Miss Chen. Now he is not only unwilling to acknowledge the purchase agreement, but he even wants to recover the first payment for the goods. Manager Wu, is that what you mean? Mr. Luo, I'm sorry. When we signed the contract, there should have been another copy for you to take away, but you left directly, and we forgot to stamp it and mail it to you. When we went to look for it again, the contract was gone. Mr. Luo, I'm really sorry. I know that my father's company owes you the balance, but I really can't think of any other way. Now I can only come to you for help. Wu Yuru and Chen Xian, their faces were full of apology and uneasiness, while Luo Wen, who was sitting on the sofa, was in a dramatic self-mockery. This Nima's murder for money, greed, actually happened to me. This Chen Jinhua, Chen Yaogo, I'm afraid they have watched too many movies. Xiago is a society ruled by law. What do their brain circuits mean? I know, you go back first, I'll take care of it. Is it just over like that? No, Mr. Luo, we want to take advantage of the situation. Hey, Luo Luo, whose car is this? I have no impression of it at all. Are you here to look for Wenzi? This car is obviously driven by a woman. Could it be Wenzi's girlfriend? In the living room, Chen Xian and Wu Yuru wanted to explain the situation to Luo Wen again, but Luo Deke and Ren Gixiang, who were outside the house, had already put away their tools and walked in with straw hats. It was probably about time, and the work in the vegetable garden was almost done, so they came back early today. Oh, there are guests coming to the house. Why didn't you say hello in advance? The two girls are so pretty. Luo Luo, go to the street to buy some vegetables. The two girls will stay for lunch at noon. Chen Xian opened her mouth slightly, and a blush was rising on her face, and Wu Yuru was really blushing. She was in her early 30s. Why did she become a girl today? But Luo Wen's parents are really warm and welcoming. Their home is the kind of home that has a harmonious atmosphere. No, auntie, we are not. Sister, auntie, we are here to discuss business with Mr. Luo. Please don't misunderstand me. Uncle, please don't be polite. Ren Gixiang's hospitality made the two women very embarrassed. They couldn't speak clearly. However, who asked them to suddenly run to someone else's hometown? Chapter 185 A Casual Favor. My mother is just like this. Don't mind. Since you are here, have lunch before you leave. I will help you deal with your affairs. Although Chen Xian looks youthful and cute, with long hair, oval face, peach blossom eyes, and the same bookish scent as Chen Jingnian, she gives people a very well-behaved and quiet look. She is very different from those crazy girls in modern society who regard beauty as capital. If you really want to find someone to compare them, Lu Zhenyu and Chen Xian are very similar in temperament. But Luo Wen has seen many beautiful women, and he is not the loser when he just bound the system. He originally planned to send the two women away and let those two stupid people swallow his stuff and then swallow it again in front of him with their mouths. It doesn't matter whether it's money or not, but Luo Wen almost indulged in the contempt for life of the immortal master. Fortunately, Luo Wen's parents came back and pulled the immortal master back to Luo Wen's real identity. Luo Wen had no choice but to take on this trouble. In addition to punishing those two idiots, how can he reasonably help Chen Xian take back the company? This won't be too much trouble for uncle and aunt. Well, then I'd rather obey than be respectful. Xian, it's okay, it's just a meal. Mr. Luo has agreed to help. You can't just not give him this little face. No, that's not what I meant. Thank you, Mr. Luo. She blushed, even more introverted than Yihan and Zhang. Is Chen Xian really suitable to inherit the management rights of a company? Ren Gixiang didn't realize until she finished showering, changed her clothes, and sat opposite the two girls who were sitting obediently on the sofa in the living room, that Wu Yuru seemed to be a little different in age. She was obviously several years older than Luo Wen. This was not okay. Her son was not without ability now. How could he find a daughter-in-law who was several years older? Chen Xian was still suitable. Although she was only a sophomore, she could go out for internship and work after another year of study. She was faster than the two girls who just turned 18. She had a good temperament and better education. But what about Qiuya? Wenzi didn't seem to contact her much and didn't have that interest in her. This Chen Xian was young and looked so white. Well, this one was better. This one was better. Auntie is from the countryside and doesn't talk much. If I'm not good at entertaining you, please forgive me. Haha. No, Auntie, you're too polite. Your name is Wu Yuru and Chen Xian, right? How did you get to know my Wenzi? As a mother, Rengixiang has been living too leisurely recently. Naturally, she has put her mind and energy on her son's lifelong event. Especially since Luo Wu has a girlfriend, but this eldest son has not made any move. He has brought a girl home as a guest, but no one is asked. Isn't this making Rengixiang anxious, worrying about her son's stupidity? Shishi, bang, dab. In the kitchen at the back, Luo didn't go out to buy vegetables, because Luo Wen was more thoughtful than him, and the refrigerator at home was always well supplied. At this time, the father and son, one was cutting vegetables, and the other was flipping the wok, stir-frying the last green vegetable. Alas, it was clearly the two women in the living room, who came to ask for help. But how come Luo Wen was treated like a distinguished guest, and even his father was ordered to help in the kitchen? Luo Wen turned his head, and saw that his father looked relaxed, and even had a willing and happy attitude. Dad, can you talk to my mom about it? I will tell her the first time I find a girlfriend in the future, and ask her not to be so. It makes me embarrassed. Hey, you kid, don't be ungrateful for what you have, don't take advantage of your little money now, and be so picky. Your dad thinks any of these girls in the family is more than enough for you, and you are not a child anymore. Get married and have a child early, so that your mom won't worry about it all the time. Well, Luo Wen finally understood that his dad and mom had a very consistent attitude towards his marriage. As for the ideal, he would not consider it for the time being. For them, it was obviously an excuse. Forget it, let's prepare the star as soon as possible and then go explore the starry sky. If you can't afford to offend, it's better to stay away. Luo Wen's cultivation and physical fitness are steadily improving, and his cooking skills are really unforgettable, with an exaggerated degree of turning decay into magic. This is also easy to understand. The deeper the understanding of things, the more subtle the control. If you don't want to cook well, it's probably very difficult. Delicious. Really delicious. Chen Xian, who was eating with relish, originally had little appetite because of her ups and downs in her mood and her emotional shock in the past 2 days. She couldn't eat anything. As a result, I don't know if she was really hungry or Luo Wen agreed to help, so her appetite was opened. She had already finished 2 bowls of rice. Of course, Wu Yuru, who was sitting next to her, had already added a 3rd bowl. This can only show that Luo Wen's cooking skills really have a special effect of making people salivate. Haha, if you like to eat, eat more. There are plenty of dishes. Wen's cooking skills are better than Auntie's. I don't know who will have this luck in the future. Compared with her own good appetite, Rengixiang would rather see the girls brought by her son have a good appetite and eat happily. It would be better if all girls like her son. No, just one daughter-in-law is enough. If there are too many, it would be bad if they fight over it. Auntie, I can't eat anymore. Brother Luo's cooking is really delicious. Haha, right. Come often in the future. Auntie will let him cook for you. This girl is really likable when she talks. Wu Yuru, who put down her bowl and chopsticks silently, had a thorough understanding of the ways of the world. She also knew that Luo Wen's mother would never accept an older woman as her daughter-in-law. What's more, Luo Wen was not someone she should want to dream about. There was not much intersection between the two. Luo Wen was very kind to others on the surface, but the more so, the more difficult it was to have a close relationship with him. Forget it. It's already good to have known each other. Let's not think about other things. You know how to get out, right? Well, Mr. Luo, I really troubled you today. Uncle and aunt are so enthusiastic that Zion, and I don't know what to say to thank you. Mr. Luo, I don't want to get close to you. It's my aunt who asked me to call you that. Don't take it to heart. It's not bad to take it to heart. Chen Ziyan hid the second half of the sentence in her heart. After all, it's not suitable to talk about these things today. Her family affairs have not been sorted out yet. Oh, it's okay. I'm older than you. You call me brother Luo, but I'm taking advantage of you. Don't worry about your company's affairs. There will be results soon. You can go back and wait for my news. Mr. Luo, please. Goodbye. Mr. Luo, goodbye. The two got in the car, lowered the window, and waved to Luo Wen's parents, and then started to leave. Hey, Wenzi, this time I think Zian is very suitable. She is polite and the most beautiful. Do you have any idea about her? If they are not familiar with each other, won't they become familiar with each other after a few interactions? Although after communicating, Rengixiang knew that the two girls were not what she thought at the beginning, but there was no shortage of food and drink at home. It would be better for Wenzi to have more contact and communication, so that she can solve her lifelong affairs. I'm going to pick up the dishes and clean up. You guys should go to take a nap. I know these things myself. Hey, Rengixiang watched Luo Wen turn around and go into the kitchen, so she had to give up the idea of chasing him in. After all, the last time, some of his words were excessive, and she didn't want to force Luo Wen too much. Let's go. Wenzi has his own ideas. Let's not force him with this kind of thing. Besides, it's not like he can't find a wife. What do we have to worry about? Alas, I'm not afraid that he can't find a wife. I'm afraid that he's dazzled, and his heart is also dazzled. What if he gets into trouble with love affairs and parents of girls come to make trouble every day? What will happen? It shouldn't be. You know what kind of character Wenzi has. He can't do such an irresponsible thing. What do you know? In today's society, do you think only men are brave? Those little girls looked at Wenzi one by one. Didn't you notice anything? After Rengixiang said this, Luo finally came to his senses. Yes, it's easy for a man to chase a woman, but it's hard for a woman to chase a man. Luo Wen doesn't take the initiative to bully girls, but who can guarantee that girls are all well-behaved girls? Chapter 186 Unexpected. Although some people are suspicious about the changes in the upper echelons of Jinfu jewelry, they don't care about it. Who would have the time to provoke the two Chen brothers who took over Jinfu jewelry? It's just that Chen Xian, a good college student, has suffered a series of blows. Her father died in a car accident, her grandfather died of illness, her mother fainted and was hospitalized, and her company was taken away by her own elders, kicking her out of the management. But who dares to, or has the ability to, stand up for her, except for sympathy? As for Chen Jingnian's death, didn't the traffic police say it was a traffic accident, and the driver who caused the accident pleaded guilty? Suspicion? Suspicion of what? Suspicion that someone is behind this to kill for money? How is it possible? In today's society ruled by law, there are cameras everywhere. Who would leave a good life and go to kill people and break the law? On the contrary, the more this happens, people like Chen Yaogo and Shen Jinhu are more confident and less scrupulous in doing things. Brother, today Ziyan was taken away by Wu Yuru. Do you think they have any trump cards or backup plans? Will they report to the police and let the criminal police investigate us? Although Chen Jinhu is fat and vicious, his courage is inversely proportional to his body size. Sitting in the chairman's office, he began to get scared and nervous afterwards. Why are you panicking? Today is the second day. If they wanted to report to the police, they should have gone there yesterday. Besides, didn't the driver of the dump truck have liver cancer? Wasn't it his own fault to bite him to death? Without witnesses and evidence, what can these two women use to sue us? Chen Yaogo looked sinister and relaxed, and he was very dismissive of Chen Jinhu's worries. He was in power and high above. Outside the glass curtain wall, there was an endless stream of people and vehicles. This position really suits him. Yes, they have no evidence. I'm so scared. By the way, big brother, do you think the owner of this batch of top grade jadeite will give up easily? Is that it? Humph, Luo Wen, A nobody. Just looking at his behavior of not even taking a copy of the contract, I know that he must be guilty. Who knows from which channel this kid got the top grade jadeite. Not only do we not recognize the purchase agreement signed by the third brother, I will also find a lawyer to sue him, saying that they colluded inside and outside to make unjust enrichment, and even the first payment for the goods, he has to spit out to me. Hehe. This boss is much more cruel than me. Chen Jinhua suddenly felt a chill on his back at this time. He was really a little worried. Would the boss kill me to silence him? Oh, really? You want to sue me for unjust enrichment? You are really bold, frivolous, indifferent, without a trace of emotional fluctuations, and the chairman's office was empty. There were obviously only two brothers. How could a third voice suddenly emerge? Who is it? Who is playing tricks? Third brother, help me check if there is any miniature camera in the room. Chen Yaoguo stood up directly from the boss chair, with beads of cold sweat on his forehead, but his tone was extremely calm. He bent over and stretched his head to look under the bookcase, on the coffee table, on the desk, and on the green plants. No, everything was normal. And when the two of them spent more than 10 minutes searching the entire chairman's office, that cold voice disappeared without a trace, and there was no response anymore. It was as if they both had hallucinations at the same time. Hoo-hoo, boss, no. The two men made a violent movement. Both of them were almost 50 years old, and they were both out of breath. The cool air could not prevent the fact that they were wet all over. Did we hear it wrong, or is someone trying to trick us? No, I'm waiting for you to confirm it, so that you won't be looking around while I'm talking. Luo Wen's voice was not emitted from the computer on the table, but was directly vibrated in the air, and then transmitted to the ears of the two people. After all, the computer was not powered on. How could it be related to electronic equipment? At this time, the two of them were terrified, and suddenly they had an inexplicable fear of being haunted by supernatural events. Who are you? Why are you scaring us like this? Are you a human or a ghost? Who am I? Aren't you looking for me to recover the payment for the goods? This voice turned out to be Luo Wen. It doesn't matter whether I'm a human or a ghost. What matters is that you actually killed your own relatives just to snatch control of the company. More importantly, you also want to covet my things, but you look like you don't care. Haha, you are really too brave. No. Plop. Wait. Luo Wen. Let's talk it out nicely. Money. Yes. We will transfer the money to you as scheduled. As long as you don't report us, we can give you half of the shares of Jinfu Jewelry. Luo Wen, we had no choice. It was our fault to kill the third brother. It was our fault. With their vital points pinched, the two men collapsed to their knees. Although they were still calm before, and felt that killing was nothing special, but when the truth was revealed and someone knew what they had done, the two men kowtowed like crazy, crying, as if they were really afraid, and reflected on their own behavior and mistakes. First, the control of the company will be returned to Chen Xian. Second, I can't give you a penny less of my money, but you don't have to pay me. Third, go to the police station and turn yourself in, and I will not pursue the matter anymore. Otherwise, see the coffee table in front of you. Open your eyes and look carefully. Boom, hiss, rustle. A faint blue flame wrapped the entire mahogany coffee table, and then in the blink of an eye it turned into a layer of fine ash. The cold wind from the central air conditioner made them drift throughout the room, including the two people. What a ghost. Their mouths were clearly wide open, but no sound came out. Not only could they not speak, but they couldn't even move their eyes. Their bodies were extremely stiff, like puppets. Don't even think about running away or struggling fearlessly. I'm just giving you a chance to take responsibility for your mistakes. Otherwise. Chen Yaoguo's eyes widened at the two people who were suddenly unable to move. However, in his extremely horrified eyes, his body began to move by itself. He walked to the desk, took the notebook and a pen, and began to write on it. The handwriting was exactly the same as what he wrote. I'm Chen Yaoguo. I hired someone to kill Chen Jingli this. Woo. No, don't play with me. I'm really scared. Wow. With a click, the pen fell to the ground, and the two people's bodies regained control. At this time, in addition to their extremely horrified eyes, they also had pale faces of fear. Their lips trembled, and they could no longer utter a word. Aren't you going to do it yet? Do you want to die now? Woo, no, 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 let's go. We'll go now. It's better to live a miserable life than to die a good death. One more day is worse than another. Besides, it's better to be shot than to die without a complete body. On the evening news on September 1st, Jinfu Jewelry General Manager Chen Jingdian had an accidental car accident, and suddenly a shocking reversal occurred. In the picture, Chen Jinhu and Chen Yaogo were handcuffed to the police car with a dazed look, and transferred to the detention center. What awaited them was naturally the trial of the law. Chen Xian and Wu Yuru suddenly received a notice from the board of directors in the hospital ward, saying that the controlling rights of Jinfu Jewelry returned to Chen Xian, and she enjoyed the decision-making and personnel appointment of Jinfu Jewelry legally and reasonably. Hey, Luo, you said that people nowadays are used to a good life, but they actually live in luxury houses and drive luxury cars, and even hire killers to kill people, and the person they kill is their own brother. What kind of beastly person can do such a thing? Well, who can tell? We ordinary people should just take care of ourselves. We can't interfere in the affairs of those big bosses. Chapter 187. You're welcome. Demon killing technique. Luo Wen watched Chen Jinhu and Chen Yaogo being pushed into the prison van by the police from the interrogation hall. He disappeared into the air and directly used the spiritual method to erase their memories. Of course, it was about himself. Luo Wen turned around and hung in the air. He did not continue to follow the prison van to the detention center, but flew back to his home. Chen Jinhu and Chen Yaogo, who were originally listless and dejected, suddenly froze, and then became clear-headed, as if they had just woken up. Why are we here? Brother, did we say something we shouldn't have said? Why did we suddenly appear in the prison van? Stop, we shouldn't be here. What are the handcuffs on our hands? Untie us quickly. I'm the chairman of Jinfu Jewelry. I want to see my lawyer. The two only remembered talking in the chairman's office in the afternoon, and talking about investigating Luo Wen's improper enrichment. How come it was dark outside when they turned around, and why did they appear in the prison van? Bang, bang, the batons hit the iron window. The faces of the two middle-aged policemen were full of contempt for the extremely ugly criminal suspect. Shut up, are you stupid? You have signed a confession, and there is a video in the interrogation room. What? You are still thinking about changing your confession? It's too late to regret it later. What? Sign? Confess? No. What did we say? We didn't do anything illegal. Yes. How did my brother and I get here? Let us go quickly. I want to apply for a mental evaluation. We were hypnotized. Did you hear me? The amnesia finally made the two people with changed faces realize something. It's a pity that in the face of iron evidence, no matter how they play rogue, it's useless. At 9 o'clock in the evening, Luo Wen flew back to Luojia village from the city center. Although the distance was 20 kilometers, it only took him 1 minute. If it weren't for the interrogation and the press conference, Luo Wen wouldn't have stayed out until this late. After confirming that the two idiots had proven their guilt, Luo Wen's squatting for the whole afternoon was finally done. Luo Wen usually wouldn't wait until the next day to do something he promised to do on the same day. Click, boss, welcome home. In the villa, the entrance and all lights lit up. In the empty house, Luo Wen's parents had finished dinner and went back to the old house downstairs to sleep. On the table in the dining room, there was a plate of food that had been reserved for dinner, and the electric rice cooker in the kitchen still had the keep warm indicator light on. Well, Luo Wen felt both warm and helpless. If he said he wasn't coming back for dinner at night, his parents, especially his mother, would definitely ask him questions, such as where he was going, who did he go out with, was it a girl? But Luo Wen couldn't bear to say something too direct, such as it's my own business, don't worry about it. So he had to tell them that he had something to do in the afternoon and might be back a little late at night, so they didn't have to wait for him to eat. But Luo Wen had just washed the dishes and plates and put them on the drain rack, and his mobile phone screen lit up. Hello, Miss Chen. Hello, Luo, brother Luo, the management rights of the company. Those two people suddenly signed and returned them to me, and they also hired someone to hit and kill my father. Woo woo. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. Then you should manage the company your father left you well in the future. Chen Xian on the other end of the phone had just come out of the company's shareholders meeting, and the first person she thought of was not her mother, nor Wu Yuru. After all, Sister Yuru had been waiting for her outside the meeting room since the afternoon. Chen Xian had a sense of pleasure of great revenge and redress of grievances, and the first person she wanted to share her excitement and happiness in her heart was Luo Wen, whom she had only met once. Maybe its gratitude is greater than heaven? Sister Yuru, I have officially appointed you as the general manager of Jinfu Jewelry. I hope you can help me run the company that my father left me. Moreover, his long cherished wish is to become a world-class jewelry company. You won't refuse me, will you? Great. This is what I have always wanted to do. There were also two women crying with joy on the other end of the phone. Miss Chen, is there anything else? Sorry, I'm really too excited. I'm sorry, brother Luo. By the way, are you free tomorrow? I would like to formally invite you to dinner. My mother and I must thank you in person. In person, dinner? You are welcome. This is just a small matter for me. If you have any difficulties in the future, I hope you can find a way to solve it yourself. I don't like someone to come to my house suddenly to find me, so. Luo Wen doesn't owe Chen Jingnian anything, let alone Chen Xian. She is cute and well educated. What does this have to do with him? Chen Jingnian's death was caused by his own brother. Money can move people's hearts, but Luo Wen will not take the blame. Chen Xian and Wu Yuru suddenly came to the house today. Luo Wen originally did not plan to continue selling things. He did not want to have any contact with them after this time. Who knows how much troubles will there be in the future for Jinfu Jewelry, a big pit, and Chen Xian, a young girl who is not well versed in the world. Women are more troublesome than men, especially those beautiful women, not to mention the current Chen Xian. She is rich and beautiful, but she has no social experience at all. No, brother Luo, are you angry with us? Sister Yuru and I really didn't mean to cause trouble for you, brother Luo. No, Mr. Luo, what do you say to forgive me? As long as I can do it, anything is fine. A rich lady who suffered a dramatic change in her family was suddenly helped by a person with unfathomable strength. Whether emotionally or rationally, everyone wanted to take the opportunity to get closer to them. Chen Xian was naturally not surprised. Although she was pure and simple, she also knew the so-called seeking benefits and avoiding harm. Well, don't cry first. I just like being alone and like an environment where I won't be disturbed. I appreciate your invitation to dinner and thank you. It's really not necessary. Good night. Every time I come, my mother will urge me. Luo Wen doesn't want to continue to entangle. This is one of the reasons why he flew to the city center in person after the two girls left. Sister Yuru, Mr. Luo hung up the phone. What should I do now? Woo woo. Chen Xian was in tears. In her mind, the omnipotent father was gone. She finally had a similar person. She didn't want him to go away like this. Alas, silly girl, Mr. Luo is not interested in you. I thought he disliked me. Forget it. I'm afraid that you are so naive and innocent that he doesn't like you. Let's think of a way later. Besides, we still have an agreement to execute. There will be a chance to see him again in the future. Wu Yuru is experienced and can see at a glance that Chen Xian is attracted to Luo Wen. However, what she didn't expect was that Luo Wen's strength far exceeded her previous expectations. She went to see him in the morning and had lunch together at noon. As a result, as soon as they arrived at the hospital in the afternoon, the company called them to attend the shareholders meeting. How did Luo Wen do it? Use power to threaten and collect enough evidence? But what kind of power can make people admit that they hired a murder? And what kind of strong strength can find enough evidence in the blink of an eye? Chapter 188, Capricious. Easy. Why did Luo Jen not reply to messages yesterday? Wearing green military training uniforms, standing at attention under the scorching sun, no one dared to put on makeup, otherwise they would suffer. Yihan and Zhang who were lucky enough to be assigned to the same floor, walked towards the canteen hand in hand early in the morning, talking about their inner thoughts. Their skin was fair and tender, full of collagen. Although they were barefaced, they were both typical examples of natural beauty. Alas, I don't know. Maybe my mother's words last time were too hurtful, or Luo might be busy recently. After all, our task is to study, and he has his own life and work. The two little girls, who were a little depressed, not only attracted the attention of the freshman boys who secretly looked at them, but also quickly drowned in the sea of military training uniforms. People will change, the environment changes, the experience is different, especially Luo Wen, who used to be just kind to others, and had endless money in his hands, thinking that as long as he was nice to the people he knew, everyone would accept him. However, in the eyes of some people, Luo Wen is tall, has a good temperament, and is extremely good looking, but he has bad intentions, is idle, and is a second generation rich man who is philandering. Parents should be wary of him. Luo Wen may have become more trustworthy after experiencing the feudal society of the Tang dynasty, and deliberately restrained his previous habit of being a good person. After all, friendship cannot be completely based on appearance and financial resources. There is no common topic, no communication from the heart, and it only stays on the surface. Luo Wen suddenly lost those impulses. Rejecting Rentingting and losing Iu, Luo Wen felt that he seemed to be happier alone. Cock-a-doodle-doo, the rooster that never wavers starts crowing before dawn. He picked up the quantum phone on the bedside. It still looks like Huawei, but the inside has been replaced with a different structure. Luo Wen looked at the 100% battery display on the phone and felt comfortable. This might be Luo Wen's obsessive compulsive disorder. He had installed a carbon crystal chip and replaced it with a carbon crystal battery. A single charge could provide at least 1 year of use. However, the Xingqian main brain would still use point-to-point multi-frequency wireless transmission to recharge his phone every day. Xingqian, if there is a message in my WeChat group in the future, please block it for me. If there is no important situation, you don't need to remind me again. Okay, the command priority has been adjusted. Artificial intelligence is a human brain that does not need to rest. In addition to imagination and creativity, its various abilities are far beyond the collection of normal humans. Luo Wen tidied up his already tidy room and then dressed neatly to go out for a jog. The ascetic monk has no desires and only works for his own beliefs. He does not care about the influence of external things on himself, but only cares about the tranquility in his heart. Luo Wen was neither fanatical about religion nor blindly worshipped a certain person. He cut off his connection with the irrelevant people in the outside world and only wanted to stay away from this mundane world and seek a place where he could feel at ease. Perhaps the deep and lonely starry sky was very suitable. Luo Wen always thought of himself being distressed by the reproach of an ordinary middle-aged mother, feeling powerless because of the urging of his own mother, and helping a mother and daughter out of a momentary gratitude, which was far beyond the boundary care of normal people. Obviously, he didn't care about the amount of money and the secular people's views on him. Why did he suddenly help Chen Xian and provide her with so much help? If this time is used to study and memorize, Luo Wen feels that he can go further in the future, and it is the foundation for a long-term foothold. However, the night when the system was just bound, helping the host grow quickly. If this is the case, then there is no need to take a month off. The system is neither incomplete nor lack of energy. So, what is it for? Luo Wen had a vague idea of the answer that came out of his mouth, but he just couldn't see it clearly or explain it. Wenzi, are you out for a run again so early? Haha, the uncle who greeted him with a smile was spitting out night phlegm in the ditch in front of the door. Family, friends. Yes, good morning, uncle. Luo Wen returned home and was making breakfast in the kitchen. In the living room, Rhodes was still watching the morning news. Every day, various big news and headlines always give people the illusion that the world is about to be destroyed. In Luo Wen's opinion, it's okay to listen to it, but don't take it to heart. After all, with the existence of nuclear deterrence, there will be no history of foreign invasion again. Humans will either destroy themselves and leave no one alive, or foreign civilizations will invade and leave no one alive. Luo Wen felt that it was too difficult to achieve world unity and solve the problem of harmonious coexistence of people of all religious beliefs and ethnic groups. It was impossible to crush them all away with force like the Tang dynasty. Luo Wen could not see that world anymore, and he did not believe that this world could be solved in just a few years. Now, what he had to do was to find a way out, to find a second home like Blue Star that could serve as a place for the new humans to live. Otherwise, if Blue Star was ruined, Luo Wen could not afford such a big responsibility. Dad, Mom, I'm going to go on a long trip in a while, so I'll say hello to you today. Huh? What? He's staying at home? Well, why do you suddenly want to go out again? Hey, how old is Wenzi? He's not even 25 years old yet. He wants to go out and do something. There's nothing wrong with him trying again, right? Ren Gixiang's first reaction was that Luo Wen wanted to hide from her, afraid that she would nag him about getting married and dating, but Luo Deke expressed his support. Well, I have things to do, so I'll leave the house to you. The old house downstairs is not convenient to live in, so you should move up. I'll help you look after the house at night. Oh, and there's 100 million in this card. Tear down the old house downstairs and build a new one. If Luo Wu gets married in the future, it'll be good for him to have a new house in the village. After all, it's okay for brothers to live together, but it's a bit uncomfortable for their relatives and friends to visit each other. Huh? 100 million? Why? Forget it, forget it. Just do what you want, and don't do anything wrong. Your mother and I will pack up today and move upstairs. I'll listen to you. Chapter 189 Departure. Ding. Blue Star coordinates have been anchored, and the route has been corrected. Ding. Supply replenishment is sufficient, and the internal circulation system is operating normally. Ding. Everything is ready, Captain. Please issue the departure order. Starry sea, vast starry sky. I, Luo Wen, will personally unveil your mysterious veil. In the empty and dreamy bridge command room, the super sensing lens projected the all-round picture outside to the surroundings of the command room. Glass? Skylight? How is it possible? This is a level 2 planetary battleship. Safety, structure, and various systems are all given top priority according to actual conditions. Buzz, the silent antimatter engine did not start at this time. Otherwise, even if the reaction force was 1%, Luogia village under the battleship would be razed to the ground. However, the entire spherical battleship, in addition to the main engine and curvature engine, is also equipped with an anti-gravity system, which the huge sphere in the invisible state began to steadily increase its altitude, which is the use of the Earth's magnetic field. In fact, anti-gravity is more appropriate. Star, set off. Beep. Multiple space monitoring stations on the ground of Blue Star suddenly flashed red lights, but before the staff on duty could react, they suddenly stopped silently, as if nothing had happened. Hurry up and call the Space Defense Department. An alien civilization must have visited Blue Star just now. Quickly, apply for the permission to use a deep space probe and conduct a comprehensive scan of the outer orbit of Blue Star. If the alarm continues to sound, it needs to be turned off manually. This may be considered a false alarm of the alarm system. Everyone should check it out, and there is no need to make a big fuss. But it only sounded once, and then suddenly stopped. This is a real problem, right? After all, the alarm system does not have an automatic stop setting. The staff on duty began to make calls frantically and summon people to check the system logs, trying to find clues. What was abnormal in the orbit of Blue Star just now? Buzz, the spherical battleship just lifted its stealth status in outer space and started the curvature engine. The battleship was visible for a moment during the switch. In order to be absolutely safe, Luo Wen originally thought that with the vastness of outer space, which Deep Space Telescope could monitor all directions in real time. However, Luo Wen would rather let the Blue Star people suspect than accidentally leave a real image record. Therefore, he released the electromagnetic interference device. Any instrument with electromagnetic waves reaching the battleship would be instantly ineffective for 1 second. When those random exploration agencies applied for the permission of the outer space probe, Luo Wen star had already turned into a meteor, instantly crossing the sky and flying to the deeper part of the galaxy. Lonely, quiet, the stars that were originally dotted above the head are now surrounding Luo Wen. The calculations and operations of the Star Master are all completed within the system, and no sound is needed. The vibration or noise of the entire warship will not make any sound in the automatic filtering of nanometal. So beautiful, so shocking. If everyone can see the deep space scene so clearly, I'm afraid all emotions will be forgotten, right? The blue planet quickly turned from a ball into a small dot in the background. If the system hadn't marked it on the screen, Luo Wen would not be able to distinguish it with his naked eyes. After all, there are too many light spots around, and they are too far away. Whoosh, whoosh, the light is distorting, and time and space present a bizarre and psychedelic scene. 1 hour later, the curvature engine is overloaded, and the superlight flight state is about to be released. Please prepare, Captain. The fast-flying planetary battleship turned into a silver gray sphere again from the distorted picture. The battleship, which originally seemed huge in the air in the blue planet, now merged into the vast ocean like a grain of sand. The surrounding environment is completely different from what Luo Wen saw on the blue planet. A fiery red star, 2 fiery red stars. Is this a binary star system? Start the star map and record the data. Ding, the super sensing detector is activated, scanning at maximum power, and the star map data has been corrected. When on the blue planet, the star mainbrain is not only doing various material collection work and verifying the operation of various systems of the battleship, but also constantly completing the star map outside the blue planet. However, the farther the distance, the worse the real time and accuracy of the data. After all, the super sensing detector still cannot break free from the constraints of the speed of light. Captain, do we need to rename this binary star system? The naming method on the blue planet is obviously extremely unreasonable in front of a real level 2 battleship. Moreover, the Xia country, where Luo Wen is located, started its industrial revolution late, and its exploration of outer space is still restricted everywhere. The naming method is also adopted by developed countries. Start the battleship's own naming system. No need to name it specifically. Ding, twin stars, located 0.01 light years away from the main planet. The center of the Milky Way is the origin. Coordinate calibration, x 12,301,405, y 000125007, z 000195270. 3-dimensional coordinate calibration. When Luo Wen heard this, he quickly understood that these numbers should correspond to light years. Ding, binary star system, 7 solid planets, 11 gas planets, no response to life detection. Various information began to appear in front of Luo Wen in a row, and after looking at it, Luo Wen's enthusiasm soon faded, and his face was less excited and excited when he first set out. Is it really that difficult for life to form? However, the entire Cheyenne galaxy has more than 400 trillion stars, and the planets in it are countless. What about outside the Cheyenne galaxy? Since there is a system, and the entire universe civilization level is divided into 9 levels, then, start the conventional engine, continue to charge the curvature engine, and prepare for the next superluminal voyage. I want to see if there is really no sign of life. The captain's order has been confirmed, and the priority has been changed. The star has only one captain, Luo Wen, and there is no one else except him. The star mainbrain is the system core of the entire battleship. It has also maintained real-time communication with a quantum communication satellite that Luo Wen left on the back of the moon. It's just that the delay is a bit high. After all, the distance between them is measured in light years. Nothing. 10 days passed in a flash, and although Luo Wen had prepared himself mentally, he was still a little depressed. He had seen a lot of various wonders of the universe. The huge burning fireball and the high temperature substances it spewed out. If it weren't for the Star Wars, Luo Wen, a giant unstage cultivator, would have been burned to ashes as soon as he got close. The dark and empty area that distorted time and space, and even the neutron star that continued to attract materials to continue to collapse inside. According to the physical examination data of the medical cabin, Luo Wen can survive in outer space for a short time, but if it exceeds 1 day, Luo Wen will have to hide in the battleship early because of the rapid consumption of spiritual power. Otherwise, the extreme vacuum environment in space, as well as various particle rays and radiation, will directly contact the body of Superman Luo Wen, and he will be injured or even die. Xingqian, prepare to return. Since we can't find any life-bearing planets around the blue star, we can only transform it and create a habitable planet artificially. Command confirmed. Priority has been modified. Captain, perhaps after we have a technological breakthrough and can achieve higher speeds of light, we can look for extraterrestrial life again. You don't have to be discouraged. Well, you're right. Let's go home. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190 Mid-Autumn Festival is approaching. Luo Wen needs to make preparations for both situations. No matter what big actions he makes on Blue Star, he must at least leave a way out for himself, his relatives and friends. On Blue Star, or within the scope of Xia country, many things need to be kept out of the public eye, and they cannot accidentally cause riots around the world. Before transforming an entire habitable planet, Luo Wen still needs a forward base, or a transit station. For example, if it has always been in the shadow side of the moon, humans' occasional lunar exploration activities have only taken panoramic pictures of the moon. What Luo Wen needs is to build an underground base in a location that no one can see, in preparation for the future national travel. As for the so-called wandering Earth in the cinema, it is just an imaginary helpless scene. After all, a civilization that has the ability to move an entire planet can completely produce a deep spaceship. Transforming a planet into a mobile home, a second-level civilization can't do it. Buzzha! The silver gray star began to charge the curvature engine. It did not need to turn around. It was just that the force field generator made some data modifications, so that all the energy began to spray in another direction. Boom. Blue Star Calendar, September 29th, 2020. Luo Wen stopped the star on the back of the moon, and he himself flew back to his home on Blue Star wearing the nano armor. The target was extremely small, and with the calculation of the Star Mastermind, Luo Wen avoided all Blue Star external detectors. Of course, if there was an astronomy enthusiast who was looking at the stars late at night, they would not be able to see the completely invisible nano armor. Bang! On the terrace of the villa, there was a very slight metal contact sound, and the robot with the appearance of the nano armor, the nanometal worm, squirmed rapidly and was recycled into the antimatter energy furnace. The suspended triangular reactor was also transferred to his storage space under Luo Wen's telekinetic control. Ding, boss, welcome home. The lights on the terrace lit up. This is the smart housekeeper of the house, but it is not as powerful as the star main brain. The stars are twinkling, and the village still has the familiar smell. It's already 12 o'clock in the evening, and Luo Wen's parents have fallen asleep. Maybe they are still missing their eldest son who has been away for half a month in their dreams. When will he come back? He usually doesn't answer the phone calls, but just replies to them on WeChat, saying that he is busy at work and needs to keep it confidential, so he can't call. Yes, I'm back again. Haha, Luo Wen's face showed a warm smile again. Although there was no greeting from his parents, and there was no big change in the quiet village, Luo Wen, but he experienced what it meant to be the world has changed in a blink of an eye more deeply than traveling through time and space. Cock-a-doodle-doo. The rooster crowed, never tired of it. The weather began to fall, and it was more or less chilly in the early morning. However, because of the gathering spirit formation, the internal temperature of Luogia village gave people an abnormal feeling of warmth and comfort. Hey, Luo, is Wenzi back? Why is there someone cooking in the kitchen? Autumn is the slack season for farmers. Luo Wen's parents, who only cultivate the vegetable fields and raise chickens and ducks at home, are also slowly adjusting. They are not as hardworking and working from dawn to dusk as before. Oh, it seems so. If Woozie comes back, he won't get up so early. And why would he go out before 10 AM? Wenzi, it's getting late now. Maybe this is one of the reasons? Luo Deke and Ren Gixiang got up and opened the door. They soon saw the familiar figures of their family members. In particular, after not seeing each other for half a month, they felt that Luo Wen's gentleness was changing towards stability. It was like the eldest son who did nothing had done a lot of big things in the past half month. Mom and dad, get up, wash your mouth and face, and have breakfast. I cooked noodles. Hey, when did you come back? I didn't hear any noise at the door last night. Luo Deke and Ren Gixiang lived on the first floor, and the sub in the garage was not driven out. How did Luo Wen come back? Oh, it was the middle of the night. I walked back before I reached the door. Let's eat first. I see the old house in front has been demolished, and the foundation is almost ready. You guys are so efficient. Of course, who do you think you inherited that from? By the way, National Day is coming soon. Why haven't I seen you contact other girls? Well, let's talk about it later. Have Luo Wu and his girlfriend come back recently? Did they say they have a holiday on National Day? You're his brother. Why don't you call him and ask? He said they have a car show on National Day, and they only have one day off on Mid-Autumn Festival. Oh, Mr. Luo, it's rare to see you. What's the matter? Are you back to prepare for Mid-Autumn Festival? The old house of Luo Wen's family is now busy with the groundbreaking ceremony, and the man in the white hat that Luo Wen saw, isn't he the Xiao Wang from before? Oh, we're not in a hurry this time. Just work at your normal speed, and take a break during the day. By the way, I bought some gift boxes from the mall. You can take them down and give them to the masters later. This is a red envelope. It's for celebration. You can give it out as well. No, Mr. Luo, you're too polite. Our company has prepared it. Don't worry. You know my habits. Take it. Go home early from get off work today and come back to work after the National Day holiday. This. Okay, then I'd like to thank Mr. Luo on behalf of the workers. It's just that the number of red envelopes is a bit too much. If I can't give them all out, I'll send them back to you. Xiao Wang was very polite, and the smile on her face was very sincere. Maybe it was because it was rare for people to see such a rich man who was so generous and approachable. It was not easy to meet one. This was her second time dealing with Luo Wen's family. Who wouldn't be extremely happy? Luo Wen put a red envelope in Xiao Wang's hand, then nodded to several passing masters, turned around and left. Supervisor? Not really, as long as the quality and quantity are guaranteed. There are some minor flaws, and they can be solved through timely communication. Anyway, Luo Wen doesn't want to waste his time on these small things. Sizzle. In the kitchen, the pressure cooker is emitting high temperature steam, and the whole kitchen is filled with the aroma of pork ribs and lotus root soup. Wenzi, how are things going? Will Xiao and Zhang Yu come back today? Have you greeted the masters who are working? Ren Gixiang is concerned about her youngest son and future daughter-in-law, and Luo Di just added that it is the workers who are still working below. Well, I'm going to pick them up from their place now. The masters have also greeted them. Xiao Wang and the others will come to pick up the gift boxes they bought later. You just need to greet them. Oh. Then go quickly and try to come back before dark. Our soup is ready. Ren Gixiang was already urging Luo Wen with a smile on her face, and Luo Deke was counting the number of gift boxes in the living room with concern, making sure that there were no more, no less, but not too few. Okay, I'll go drive now and pick up your son and daughter-in-law. Go. You don't find one yourself, and you blame me for being partial, right? If you find a girlfriend, I promise to be more enthusiastic than Xiao. Oh, no, just as enthusiastic. Ren Gixiang, who was scolding with a smile, was thinking about the family reunion during the Mid-Autumn Festival, and her mood was particularly relaxed and happy, and Luo Wen did not ask for trouble again, and quickly opened the garage, started the car and went out. Chapter 191 The Fourth Shuttle. Ding. The world characters have been optimized, and the identity information has been added. Luo Wen stood in a deserted roadside grove. Outside was a sunny and crowded street, and in his hand, an ID card, bank card and household registration book appeared out of thin air, and they were not brand new, but 95% new and well preserved, after being used for several years. Name Luo Wen, gender male, ethnicity Han, born on October 4, 1995. The above information is no different from Luo Wen in the main world, and the changes are below. Address, Wuhan. The ID card number is also 18 digits, but except for the date of birth code, everything else has changed. Before Luo Wen opened the household registration book, ding, the task is released to help the human beings on Earth achieve civilization advancement. No time limit. The task level is to be assessed, and there is no penalty for failure. Earth? Then isn't this Yun Buka's hometown? No time limit? No task level? No penalty? That's not right. If this task is not completed, doesn't it mean that I can never go back? System, damn it. Forget it. Just pretend I didn't say anything. As the system is the one that has the final say, Luo Wen knew that it would be useless to scold it, so he might as well withdraw his attention and concentrate on studying why the system has generated an identity for him in this world. Click A. As soon as the screen was unlocked, the information flow on it was changing, but Luo Wen hadn't given any instructions to the Starfire assistant yet. In order to distinguish the intelligent core of the star, Luo Wen changed the name of his portable intelligent assistant to Starfire, and also to commemorate the previous world. Aunt, cousin, 2 new contacts appeared on it. This is a smartphone that uses the quantum confidentiality protocol. Why did the contact information of 2 strangers suddenly appear? Luo Wen was teleported to the 4th world by the system at 12 o'clock on time. Although it was agreed that the whole family would go to Grandma's house to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival after dawn, Luo Wen, in addition to accompanying Luo Wu and Zhang Yu who return home, and a group of peers who went home for the holiday, sang karaoke, played games, and prepared to watch a movie at home. However, everyone had to visit relatives the next day, and Luo Wen had a secret to keep, so at 11:30 in the evening, everyone went back to rest and continue tomorrow. But Luo Wen sat casually on the marble flower bed on the side of the road with a backpack on his back. He hadn't taken any action yet, and his mobile phone suddenly rang, and the note displayed on it was exactly Aunt from the 2 unfamiliar numbers. Hello. Although Luo Wen was confused, he still spoke first. The woman on the other side, who should be a middle-aged woman, impatiently snatched the right to speak. Luo Wen, this is your aunt. I just called my hometown. Why did you go to Shanghai alone? Oh, you are unfamiliar with the place. Why didn't you tell your aunt in advance? Do you have enough money? I will transfer some more money to you. I can't go back to the country for the time being, but your cousin is in Shanghai. You can go find him and let him take care of you. She chattered on, and the concern and worry in her tone were undoubtedly revealed. This aunt should be the local relative arranged by the system. Oh, Oklahoma, I know. I'll go find my cousin. Don't worry. Shanghai is not like my hometown in the countryside. Remember to talk to people more and make more friends. You should learn from your cousin. Although auntie knows that you are very capable, you are the only child of our Luo family. Don't ignore people like you did in your hometown. Girls are not monsters. Auntie is still waiting for you to inherit the family line for our Luo family. Yeah, I know. Ding, the phone screen lit up, and it prompted that the remittance of 100,000 yuan had been received. Didn't she just say a little? Okay, auntie has explained everything I should say, so you don't hang up again. I'll call your cousin again. Remember to go to school to find him, remember. The middle-aged woman on the other end of the phone, well, let's call her Luo Wen's aunt, finally hung up the phone. And Luo Wen also inexplicably had a cousin named Wang Yangsheng. Young and beautiful, full of vigor, the students coming and going are sparse. Luo Wen, who is only 180 centimeters tall, seems a bit tall in his hometown, but here, his figure has become moderate, but his handsome appearance and extraordinary calm temperament, as long as one glance, everyone has the illusion of indulging in it. Standing quietly in front of the gate of Shanghai Architecture Institute, Luo Wen ignored the surprised eyes on him and walked in. Wang Yangsheng. Wang Yangsheng is like one of the main characters in a TV series called Golden Years. How did the plot develop? Luo Wen couldn't remember it, no matter how hard he tried to recall it. This TV series is still in the promotion stage and has not yet been broadcast, so it is even more impossible for him to have watched it. Is it another ordinary parallel universe without supernatural powers? Luo Wen shook his head. According to what his aunt said about university assistant, Luo Wen went straight to the teaching building in the huge university campus. Anyway, his cousin will probably call him soon. Luo Wen didn't expect that in an ordinary real plane, the system would add another identity to him, Orphan, Shanghai Drifter, and it also sent him directly to the destination. Did the system also think that Luo Wen's interpersonal relationships were too ordinary, so it forced him to expand his social circle? According to the information collected by Mingxinghuo, Wuhan, where Luo Wen was originally from, is also a big city. Why did they arrange for me to be a Shanghai Drifter? Forget it, I can't figure it out in advance. Luo Wen decided to take it one step at a time and go to see what's going on with his cousin first. Hey, look, handsome guy. At 3 o'clock, he's about to turn and leave. Two girls, one hand holding each other's arm, not feeling hot, holding books in the other hand, carrying bags on their shoulders. Hey, didn't you just get together with Zhang Ming? Why are you tempted by him now? Give this to me. TSK, I'm just giving Zhang Ming a chance. I haven't agreed to marry him. No, I saw this first. Shouldn't a university campus be full of literary and studious atmosphere? What's more, this is clearly an architecture college, not an art college. Shouldn't the girls here be dedicated to learning, and shouldn't the secular society be too heavy? Luo Wen felt that someone was chasing him from behind, and he couldn't help but speed up his pace. Soon, with the help of lush vegetation and buildings with a new view at every step, he immediately shook off those little tails. The path, the dense forest, spots of light were scattered from the leaves to the road. The leaves were slightly yellow, and the air was sweet with a hint of comfort. It was a suitable place for love and romance. Luo Wen, who was wandering in it, couldn't help but slow down his pace and feel the beautiful atmosphere. The person you just met in the office is the new teaching assistant in the department, named Wang Yangsheng. Someone. He was talking about Wang Yangsheng? Even if Luo Wen didn't use his divine thoughts, he deliberately suppressed his super 5 senses. But ordinary people could hear it at such a close distance, let alone him. Luo Wen, who was sitting casually on the side of the road, thought that no one was passing by here, so he planned to wait for the call from his cousin here. But on the stone brick road outside the corner, there were 2 footsteps, one light and one heavy, and the voice of one of the young men. I heard from everyone that he is studying civil engineering in a foreign country. He came here to study ancient Chinese architecture. No wonder, he just doesn't look like a scholar. The fresh and elegant voice, with the gentleness of the Jiangnan water town, seemed to be the footsteps of a man and a woman, one light and one heavy. Luo Wen heard someone discussing Wang Yangsheng. Although he didn't feel much favor from the words, he still wanted to ask them if they could point out his location. It's better to say that he is here to pick up girls than to say that he is here to study. He flies around the country with various girlfriends every week. He has been warned twice by the department because he missed classes due to flight delays. Oh, so he is not the same kind of person as us. A young man wearing a long-sleeved shirt with a round neck white t-shirt underneath, and a gentlemanly 3:7 hairstyle, although he still has the mature and steady style of an excellent senior. But when Luo Wen came out from the corner with a backpack, the embarrassment on the faces of the young man and the long-haired girl leaning on him flashed away. They did not expect that the bad words they said about others behind their backs would be heard by a young junior with a cold face. Haha, by the way, where are we going to eat at noon? Or should we send the drawings to my aunt first and go with her? The girl opposite had long flowing hair, delicate features, and some bird-like pretty. At this time, she even skipped the topic, as if to help herself and her boyfriend. Hello, I want to ask, which teaching building is Wang Yangsheng, who you are talking about? But, the young man and woman opposite, although full of literary temperament, are facing a bit big. Probably not college students, but doctoral students. Hello. Oh, then add me on WeChat, Oklahoma. I'll come find you according to the location. Luo Wen hadn't waited for the two people to reply, but the phone in his pocket rang first. Thank you, he just called me. Sorry to bother you. Luo Wen's face did not show any indignation or any expression of wanting to stand up for Wang Yangsheng, but after smiling, he turned around and left directly. Only two young lovers who were a little embarrassed and nervous were left standing there, not knowing what to do. The junior in front of them obviously had a close relationship with Wang Yangsheng. If they told Wang Yangsheng the bad things they said, wouldn't they be in the wrong? Oh, Zhang and Run, let's go. Let's go to my aunt's house first before Wang Yangsheng comes to find us. What if this person is his good friend or acquaintance? We won't be able to explain it then. Oh, okay, let's go now. It's normal for girls to be timid, but Zhang and Run, who is tall and strong, even taller than Luo Wen by a hair, followed his girlfriend closely and fled out of the school gate. Chapter 192 Cousin Wang Yangsheng. Hi, here, Zion, I see you. Wearing a baseball cap, a large blue t-shirt, and a pair of loose bloomers that he couldn't quite hold together, the big boy who was waving at Luo Wen and running over with a passionate look on his face should be his cousin Wang Yangsheng himself. However, how come this cousin and the long-haired girl he just met on the road look so much like the stars in the main world? Oh, by the way, this is a parallel world adapted from a TV series. Yeah, cousin. Even after his aunt called him, Luo Wen relaxed his body and let this cousin put his arm around his neck and then enthusiastically put his big face close to his face. Ugh. No, 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 I'm not used to this. Don't let foreigners do that to me. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. Don't be offended, Zion. It's all my mother's fault for bringing me to Italy to study. When I was a kid at your house, you took me, your cousin, to play everywhere. Wang Yangsheng didn't expect that his cousin would come to Shanghai alone. After all, even if he just locked himself up in the house in his hometown, he could still be a world-class hacker. Since his uncle and aunt had a car accident, Zion rarely interacted with their relatives. It seems that he should have walked out of that sad past. Scratching the back of his head angrily, Wang Yangsheng also remembered the various extraordinary performances of his cousin and dared not continue to bully the weak. Wang Yangsheng was born in 1990 and his cousin Luo Wen was born in 1995, with a 5-year age difference. Logically speaking, Wang Yangsheng should be the older cousin, but in Wang Yangsheng's mind, Luo Wen, who is a loner, is a typical representative of all-powerful, loner, and weird personality. The system neither explained to Luo Wen, nor did it have the so-called memory infusion, but his aunt and cousin had a very special feeling for him. They were a little strange, but also very concerned, and responded to every request, fearing that Luo Wen would be unhappy or ignore him. Zio Wen, don't you really need me to help you find a place to live? No, I'm not a minor. I'll contact you after I'm settled. But my mother will blame me. Do you only have this little luggage when you leave home this time? Wang Yangsheng pulled Luo Wen and was about to walk to the faculty parking lot. Not far ahead, there was a BMW X5 parked. It seems that Wang Yangsheng's family is not very short of money. I don't lack money. If my aunt blames you, you can say that I insist on going on myself. Well, I know how to go out. Are you not an assistant? It seems that you haven't reached the time of get off work. I am going first. I haven't seen each other for a few years. The maturity is stable, and it is a lot polite to others. But, you find the place where you live. You must tell me the first time, otherwise my mother has to fly back and beat me. By the way, you have enough money, I can support you. Well, family. But before entering the school, Luo Wen received a transfer notice. He came together with 10.1 million balance information feedback. I have money. My aunt just transferred another 100,000 yuan to me. By the way, tell her not to transfer money to me anymore. I can support myself. Whether it is the Luo Wen set by the system or the real Luo Wen now, he has enough means to make a living. Oh, then I feel relieved. As for transferring money, my mother will give it to you, and you can take it. It's not much anyway. We are all family, right? Haha, well, okay. The alleys in Shanghai Jia district are not like the crowded streets where the lower class people live. Instead, the venues are open and each house is well separated. A long-haired girl in a white dress and a well-mannered young man walked into the two-story old courtyard with a single door. Clang, clang, the floor is warped, the wall is peeling, and the wooden stairs are clanged even more when the feet step on them. Aunt, are you there? This young couple was the one who had met Luo Wen. The young man looked surprised and amazed. He probably didn't expect that such a valuable piece of land would be used by his girlfriend's aunt to build a homestay. Dad, why are you here? The excited long-haired girl took her boyfriend's hand and went upstairs. But as soon as she walked into the semi-decorated living room, she saw a middle-aged man wearing glasses and looking mercenary and shrewd on the temporary operating table. The girl was clearly calling Dad, but the smile on her face disappeared directly, just like her enemy with a deep hatred and long-standing grudges. Haha, hello, uncle. The young man, who looked very simple, put aside his envy of the house in his heart, and his face was full of respect and flattery for the middle-aged man in front of him. Maybe it was because of the beautiful and graceful girlfriend beside him that he did this on purpose. Oh, classmate Zhao Zhang, right? The middle-aged man put down the large-screen mobile phone in his hand. The titles of articles such as securities analysis and the candlestick charts on it also show the man's preferences. I'm afraid he is also a stock investor for many years. Yes, that's right. It's just right. Let me introduce you to Zhang Enren, my boyfriend, and this, my father. The girl obviously didn't expect to meet her parents here today, so she spoke a little late. By the way, where is my aunt? Oh, she went out shopping with your mother. Come, Zhao Zhang, sit down. The middle-aged man was obviously smiling on his face. He walked to the table next to him and brought a bottle of seaweed water. After handing it to Zhang Enren, he stopped pretending to be polite and looked at his mobile phone as if no one was around. There was only one high stool in the room, which was already occupied by my girlfriend's father. Where was the second bench? This is not a very important matter. The key is that it? Don't ask about Zhang Enren's family background anymore. Oh, by the way, why did you come here together today? Normal parents, if they meet their daughter's boyfriend for the first time, will more or less pay attention to the other party's family, work, and life experience, because this means attention, and also means that the girl's parents want the two to go in the direction of marriage. But if they don't care about anything, but ask some topics that are not related to the relationship between the two, then it is obvious that the father of the girl in front of him does not want to guide the relationship between the two to move forward. It's like this. Nansen said that my aunt's house is going to be converted into a homestay, so I drew a design drawing, which is also my specialty. With sincerity intact rarely seen in young people, Zhang Enren seems to be able to bear humiliation. If it were Luo Wen, he and his girlfriend met her parents, expressed his sincerity and respect, but the other party was indifferent. Luo Wen would probably turn around and leave, and would not continue to associate with this girl. Do not impose on others what you do not want others to do to you. Since you cannot get the initial approval of both parents and the most basic respect between people, then don't waste time. Okay, by the way, do you have a house? Slapped the middle-aged man opposite, drinking his drink, put down his phone, and finally shifted the topic to related issues, which made Zhang Enren excited. I do. Yeah, you have a house at such a young age. It's amazing. Haha, Zhang Enren smiled modestly to get the praise from his girlfriend's father, but of course he would not speak out the hardships and pride in his heart, although he really wanted to. Did you design your house yourself? Yes, I designed it myself. So it's a good design of yours, but do you live in it yourself now, or do you want to rent it out? The answer the middle-aged man wanted was certainly not as simple as it seemed. However, Zhang Enren, who only had such a small family background, wanted to pretend so much. However, because he lacked confidence, he could only answer helplessly in front of his girlfriend, I live there myself. Where? A cunning look flashed across his face, and the previous expectation turned into calmness. Well, in Pudong. Pudong, a good place. Where is it in Pudong? The middle-aged man, who had not been very interested at first, became interested again. Obviously, the Pudong area was still worthy of his attention. Let's go down and see if my aunt is back. The girl who heard this pulled Zhang Anren's arm and was about to walk out. It seemed that as the daughter of the middle-aged man, she also knew her father very well. She even knew the question he wanted to ask next. No, Zhao Zhang, let's talk more. Oh, okay, the house is in Sanlin, Pudong. After a gradually getting better chat, Zhang Anren thought that his girlfriend's father had initially recognized him, but when he said the word Sanlin with great complacency, hiccup. Sanlin, isn't that the outer ring? The middle-aged man's eyelids drooped instantly, and he no longer had the enthusiasm to continue. Oh, yes, it's right on the edge of the outer ring. TSK. Oh, the girls were all stamping their feet in anger because of Zhang Anren's silly performance, and Zhang Anren, who was excited, seemed to have noticed the difference in his eyebrows and felt that the atmosphere was a little wrong. Doesn't Sanlin belong to Shanghai? Chapter 193 Settlement. Mr. Luo, you are from Wuhan. I heard there are many university towns there, and like Shanghai, they are all big cities. Click, click, black short skirt, light blue shirt, although wearing high heels, but the enthusiastic female agent, staring at Luo Wen's face, still needs to tilt her neck upwards. Click. 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. One is used as a bedroom, one is used as a guest room, and one is used as a studio. Very good. After checking the room, furniture, and appliances, Luo Wen stopped walking. Miss Zhang, does the landlord only plan to rent out this house, or is he considering selling it? Mr. Luo, you are not going to buy this house, are you? It's a full 150 square meters. As a migrant worker in Shanghai, Zhang Li's desire to settle down in this international metropolis is undoubtedly extremely strong. Although receiving this handsome and young Mr. Luo made her a little hesitant, but if he is still rich, she is willing to do it. I checked the transaction price of nearby properties on the internet. Because it is an old community, not a newly developed building, although the surrounding supporting facilities are very complete, the average price is only about 50,000. Can you help me ask the landlord if he can sell it at this price, if the full amount is paid? 50,000 per square meter, 150 square meters, that's 7.5 million. Could he be the legendary tall, rich and handsome? Yes, the landlord originally planned to sell it, but no one has asked the price, so it is temporarily rented out. Don't worry, Mr. Luo, if you pay in full, I can definitely help you negotiate a lower price. So we became friends, and then used my own life experience to make this little brother feel good about me, and then we fell in love and reached the peak of our lives. In the future, I can become a real Shanghainese. Luo Wen came to this world in the morning, and before dark in the afternoon, he had already bought a house in full and completed the transfer procedures. Anyway, the money was given by the system, and Luo Wen didn't feel bad at all. As for the good intentions of the female agent, Luo Wen just appreciated it and did not bother her. Although she looked cute and was very enthusiastic, they were not from the same world, and Luo Wen did not have the idea of getting to know her deeply. Thank you for troubling Miss Zhang to run around today. Oh, it's nothing. It was just a rental order. Now I sell the house to you. The commission alone is tens of thousands. I should thank you very much. By the way, how about I treat you to braised prawns? Zhang Li, with her beautiful face, was about to directly reach out to Luo Wen, but after a day of contact, she realized that the little brother in front of her was actually a little brother, who was 3 years younger than her, but calm and unhurried in everything he did. Even the landlord of the old professor praised his words and deeds, and took the initiative to reduce the price. It seems that just taking the initiative is not enough. I must be reserved. Oh, no, it's getting late. Miss Zhang, go back early. Thank you. He is. Alas. Oh, then, Mr. Luo, we'll see each other again. If you need anything, you can always call me. My phone is on 24 hours a day. Zhang Li, who woke up instantly, seemed to see the alienation and distance under Luo Wen's gentle expression. Think about it, even if she can't meet love at the corner today, she won't lose out on those commissions. Well, Miss Zhang, take care. cleaning technique. Warships gathered all the dirt and dust in the corners into a ball and put them into the bag trash can. In addition to furniture and appliances, there are also tables, chairs, and benches. The commonly used large items are basically complete. The family only needs to buy some pots, pans, sheets and quilt covers to move in directly. Network cable? With the Spark Smart Assistant, unlimited traffic and satellite network, what's the problem? Luo Wen took out the pen and notebook in the storage space and listed all the things on the shopping list. It's only 5 o'clock now. Carafa is just around the corner after walking out of the community. And while it's still early, I should go to the driving school to sign up and buy a car. Otherwise, I will always take a taxi, subway, or bus in the future, which is inconvenient. The system said it was generous, and it was really generous this time. Luo Wen bought the house in full and still had 2.6 million left, but it didn't pay attention to the details. Luo Wen had already passed the driving test in the main world, but the license in this world was not applicable, so Luo Wen had to take the test again. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door. Who was it? Luo Wen had just got the key a few minutes ago. Besides knowing Wang Yangsheng, could it be Zhang Li, the real estate agent? Click. Oh, hello, Grandma. Who are you looking for? Oh, young man, are you the new tenant? I see you're alone. Do you need my help to clean up? By the way, I'm your neighbor across the street. Haha, the gray-haired, kind-looking old lady was afraid that Luo Wen would suspect her, so she quickly pointed to the open door behind her. Oh, no, Grandma, you're too polite. I've already cleaned up. I just bought this house today. I heard from the landlord that there's a warm-hearted Grandma Zoo living next door. It must be you, right? Yes. Haha, young man, you look familiar to me. As soon as I see you. I live here alone. My husband passed away, and my children rarely come back. There's no one to talk to, and I'm so depressed. By the way, what's your name? Oh, Grandma, my name is Luo Wen. You can call me Zio Luo or Zio Wen. Luo Wen was very grateful to this warm-hearted old lady for showing her kindness to someone who had nothing to do with him. So his tone was much more approachable. After all, they were neighbors, and they would see each other every day. Besides, it was impossible for him to drive away a kind-hearted old lady, right? Wow, this house is so clean. Did you hire a housekeeping company? No, that's not right. I didn't hear any noise today. Could it be that I was taking a nap? Yes, I hired a housekeeping company. Grandma, I have to go out to buy something now. Why don't you come to my house for dinner when you're done with your work in the evening? From now on, you and I will be neighbors. That's not good. It's your first day here. You must be very tired. You should have a good rest. You can find time later. Or I can welcome you home, as long as you don't mind my cooking skills. Zio Luo. Hey, cousin, I've sent you the address. If you're free in the evening, come to my new home to celebrate and get to know the way. Say hello to my aunt, so that she won't worry again. For many things, this world is just a little different from Luo Wen's world in terms of the names, such as place names, but many things are very similar, or exactly the same, such as the size of countries and regions, the population size of cities, and WeChat. So fast. Okay, I promise to bring my new friend to warm your room, and bring a few bottles of good wine, and we brothers will drink, until we are drunk today. You can come by yourself. I don't like it. Forget it. Just bring it if you want. Forget about the wine. I have also invited my neighbor next door, an old lady, to dinner tonight. Remember to be quiet. Luo Wen thought of the identity arranged by the system and temporarily changed his mind. After he hung up the phone, he started to go out for a big purchase, while there was still time. Chapter 194 Plan. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Wang Yangsheng had just finished dinner, and the people he sat with were Jiang Nansen's family, because his mother and Jiang Nansen's aunt were good friends. Jiang Nansen's aunt wanted to introduce Wang Yangsheng to her niece, because she thought the two of them were a good match. One was well behaved and beautiful, the other was a young talent. They were about the same age, and they happened to be in the same school. Isn't this fate? As for Zhang Anren, who was ridiculed by Jiang Nansen's father, except for Jiang Nansen herself, Her whole family actually had the same attitude, that the two were not suitable. Xiao Wang, uncle has high hopes for you. If you want to buy a house in Shanghai or invest in stocks in the future, ask uncle. I promise to give you the best professional advice and guidance. Except for Jiang Nansen, who was a little unhappy and depressed, everyone else in the family could be said to be having a great time, especially Wang Yangsheng, who returned from studying abroad. No matter his family background or conversation, he could not compare to the Phoenix man Zhang Enren. Judging from the way Jiang Nansen's father and Wang Yangsheng were arm in arm and talking happily, this was the result. Tap, tap. After eating and drinking, the group exchanged pleasantries at the entrance of the restaurant. Thank you, I will definitely come to bother you when I need something. Wang Yangsheng, thank you for today. If you hadn't come, I really wouldn't have chosen the design of Nansen's boyfriend. Oh, it's nothing, auntie. Then I'll take some time to come and help you with the renovation work in person. Be careful on the way home. Okay, that's it for now. Didn't you promise to help your cousin warm up the house while eating just now? Go quickly. Oh, I was so happy chatting with my uncle that I forgot the time. Fortunately, auntie reminded me, so I'll leave first. Oh, dang. Wang Yangsheng certainly didn't forget the agreement with Luo Wen, but according to Luo Wen's instructions, the time might be a little later. Just go before 9 o'clock. Bang bang. 4 men and 2 women, still holding tools in their hands, swarmed in with wolves and ghosts howling. The force of knocking on the door and the movement of walking were somewhat different from those of ordinary people. Xiao Wen, open the door quickly. I brought new friends to celebrate with you. Yeah, haha. The noise outside made Luo Wen a little uncomfortable, but after all, he was his cousin, so he couldn't say anything. Catcher, wow. Wang Yangsheng, you have such a handsome cousin. Why didn't you tell us before? Yes, I'm afraid he's the kind of cousin who will be taken advantage of when he goes to film a movie. Go, don't joke around. Let me introduce you. My cousin Luo Wen just came out from my hometown. Xiao Wen, these are all my good friends. I met them when I was playing music. Non-mainstream dress, unruly yellow hair, and some with dreadlocks. One of the girls was the same. Putting Wang Yangsheng among them, it seemed a little normal. Hello, I'm Wang Yangsheng's girlfriend. Nice to meet you. If you have any problems in Shanghai in the future, you can come to me for help. You can call me Lillian or sister. The girl who jumped out from the back of the crowd was a little different from this group of people. She was graceful and looked lively and cute. She had 2 shallow dimples when she smiled. Oh, hello. Cousin, is she your girlfriend? No, don't listen to her nonsense. Her father, Professor Dang, is my mentor. She and I are at most fellow students. Lillian, don't joke around. My cousin is very old-fashioned. He will take it seriously. It's better to take it seriously. I don't mind. Wang Yangsheng greeted his friends, who were actually a group of like-minded young people chasing their dreams, and asked them to be more elegant. Luo Wen stepped aside to let them in. Although it was very noisy, there were not as many rules and courtesies as ordinary people. Luo Wen didn't think it was difficult to get along with them. Anyway, because it was too late, Luo Wen had already had dinner with the old lady next door. Come in first. Don't stand outside. I'll call you Lillian from now on, please. Wang Yangsheng and Lillian were arguing at the door, mainly because the girl wanted to hug Wang Yangsheng's arm, but Wang Yangsheng was playing take-eye with her and not letting. Don't be polite, just treat it as your own home. Bang, he closed the door with his hand. As soon as Luo Wen walked into the house, the prepared food on the dining table was already being eaten by a group of people with relish. This is really no politeness at all. Cousin, when you are free in the future, you must come to play with us. If you have anything, just call us. If not for your cousin Wang Yangsheng, you must also be grateful for the delicious food you prepared today. Haha, after 3 rounds of wine and 5 kinds of dishes, the band that came in a lively manner, after eating and drinking, was ready to perform for Luo Wen on the spot. However, Luo Wen knew that the noise was disturbing and somewhat inappropriate, so he refused them. The group of people had no choice but to prepare to leave first. The evening was the official start of their day, so it was naturally impossible for them to go home, but they ran to the bar nightclub where they sang. Of course, before leaving, they were still very righteous. One of them patted Luo Wen on the shoulder, which was regarded as recognizing him as a cousin, and said that they would definitely protect him in the future. When you go out to take a taxi, don't cause trouble for the driver. Take another taxi, and don't squeeze into a car with your stuff. Do you hear me? Wang Yangzheng stood at the door and told them something. It seemed that the relationship between them was very close. Cousin, I heard from Wang Yangzheng that you don't have any relatives at home. Do you plan to settle down in Shanghai in the future? Luo Wen's amazing cooking skills completely conquered the young men and women present. Lillian, who had always kept her eyes on Wang Yangzheng, suddenly walked to Luo Wen's side. Well, I guess so. Oh, but I heard from Wang Yangzheng that you didn't go to college. You have always been self-taught at home, and you rarely go out to interact with people. Is this true? With big eyes and full of curiosity, Lillian was very suspicious of the truth that Wang Yangzheng told her in advance. Wasn't the information wrong? The clean and tidy room, everything was in order, just like the style of a soldier, with a very gentle personality, and no so-called aloof or indifferent when speaking. Not only can he make a large table of food that only hotel chefs can make, but when talking to them about music, he has his own understanding and reasoning, especially when he tried his hand at using musical instruments to demonstrate for them. His pitch and technique are at the master level. How could such a person drop out of high school and stay away from strangers? It's true. Lillian, do you have any problems? Don't be so cautious. It makes me uncomfortable. Just say it directly. Hey, what are you talking about? Zion, Lillian and I both drank today, and this is your first time to come to Shanghai to seek refuge with me. Let's have a good chat tonight. By the way, do you still remember that when I went to your house, your uncle took us back to the countryside to spend the summer vacation together? How carefree and happy we were at that time. Haha. Wang Yangzheng turned around and went back to the house. He sat down on the floor with a carefree butt, and his back leaned against the sofa. He exhaled alcohol from his mouth and his face was slightly drunk, as if he was drunk without alcohol. Hey, Wang Yangzheng, are you okay? If you don't go back to school today, what should I do? Lillian said it was inappropriate, but her face was cheering and expectant. It seemed that she wanted to take some action against Wang Yangzheng while he was drunk. We'll change the sheets and quilt covers at home today. I'm going to change the use of the bedroom, and I'm going to move the bed for the time being. You all have a place to sleep. Luo Wen got up and brought them a cup of jasmine tea. It had been poured after dinner, and it was just warm enough not to burn your mouth. Haha, thank you, cousin. Luo Wen, it's been so many years since I last saw you, and I feel like you've become a different person from before. By the way, what are your plans for Shanghai in the future? Renting a house here can only be a temporary transition. If it doesn't work out in the future, come to our school to listen to classes, and I'll take you there. How about being a wild designer in the future? Gurgle. The fragrance was refreshing, and the heat and blush on the faces of the two people subsided a little. Yeah. I just wanted to ask you this. Luo Wen. Haha. Plans. If I tell you my plans, I'm afraid you two will be scared. Oh, I've already bought this house with my own money. No way. Luo Wen, although my mother gives you living expenses every year, it's impossible for her to give you so much. Did you do something illegal on the internet? Wang Yangzheng's impression and memory of Luo Wen were all imposed on him by the system. Luo Wen didn't know how to explain to Lillian and his cousin. He couldn't say that he had a newbie gift package as soon as he came here, right? Don't worry, I'm a good citizen who abides by the law. Forget it, I'll show you one, but don't tell anyone else. Luo Wen got up from the sofa and went into his bedroom. Then he took out the laptop mysteriously. Alas, the system's task is to improve the civilization level of this world. Luo Wen certainly couldn't have no ideas at all. You must know that, if you want to be rich, you must first build roads. What he has to do now is to help this world climb to a higher level of technology. It's just the first step. He needs money, a lot of money. Sell jade and gold? No, 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 he should start a black technology company to lead this era. If he has too many of those things, it would be more troublesome. And the task rating is definitely related to time, so Luo Wen must hurry up and prepare. Luo Wen, what are you doing? Demonstrate hacking to us? Hacker? Wan Yang's Heng and Luo Wen, what are you talking about? Chapter 195 Hugging the Thigh. Exquisite metal shell, tough and simple combination of arcs and straight lines. Even if Apple computers are placed in front of it, I'm afraid they will have to admit their inferiority. But there is no trademark or logo. Is the laptop in Ziaowen's hand a specially customized model? Lillian and Wang Yang's Heng opened their eyes wide. One sat on the sofa, bent forward and reached his head. The other sat on the floor with a dazed look, and more questions and confusions popped up in his mind. Whoosh, the two people watched Luo Wen's hand movements intently. I don't know if it was an illusion, but they seemed to see a stream of light passing through the screen. Then the screen lit up, and the desktop with blue sky and white clouds was simple and familiar, and there was nothing unusual. Inside the notebook, all the structures were very different from this era. There was no heat vent, and no humming fan sound. Luo Wen's fingers tapped on the screen, and the other hand was placed on the touchpad position, which was also a piece of metal cold and delicate. I'll show you a video first. I'll explain it to you after you finish watching it. As soon as the screen turned on, it detected that there were other people around, so it switched to camouflage mode. After Luo Wen clicked, and the entire notebook was displayed in full screen, he leaned back and left his vision to Lillian and the other two who were deliberately sitting next to Wang Yang's Heng. The screen was pitch black, as if the power had suddenly gone out. Just when Wang Yang's Heng and Lillian were a little puzzled, a red light spot appeared in the middle of the screen, and then turned into a lively and agile flame flower, and the two simplified Chinese characters for Xinghe also appeared under the flame. After all this time, it's just an opening animation. The arc reactor, inspired by the Iron Man movie, uses an energy field to confine the reactants, making a small nuclear fusion device a reality. The screen was filled with Luo Wen's background voice, and in a bright environment similar to a laboratory. First there was a draft, then a blueprint, followed by various complicated calculation formulas and data, and finally, a triangular reaction ring was placed in the circular arc reactor, and the connected instruments and wires began to run the activation program. Buzz. A faint blue light lit up, and on the display screen next to it, the number representing the power size kept climbing, and finally stopped at 3 million kilowatts per hour, remaining stable and no longer rising. According to the data obtained from the experiment, each time the reaction ring is replaced, it can run stably for an average of 30 days, which is equivalent to a total output of 3.6 billion kWh of electricity. The production cost of the reaction ring as a consumable is only about 100,000. The structure of the entire reactor is extremely complex and sophisticated, but the cost will not exceed 900,000. Of course, cost has a price, but technology is priceless. This, a picture like an Arabian Nights, and the murmured voice, instantly made the two slightly excited young men and women, from full of expectations, turn into dumbfounded absent-minded shock. When Luo Wen saw this, he quickly reached out and pressed the pause button. This is just a castrated version of the arc reactor, with a power of only 1/3600 of Toner's first generation model. Is this unacceptable? Brown didn't dare to take out the latest antimatter reactor, because that one was even more horrifying than Tony Stark's. Tony's first generation arc reactor had an output power of 3 billion joules per second, and the Star reactor, after being improved by the Star Mastermind, had a power of 300 billion joules per second, which was 100 times higher. Not to mention the energy core installed on the Star. Because of the increase in size, the power also reached the level of 30 trillion joules per second. The small reactor installed on the Nano armor alone can reach a terrifying level of 1080 billion kilowatts per hour. Although each loading of antimatter is only enough to run at full power for 24 hours, with the help of artificial intelligence, the output power can be reduced to achieve the purpose of longer endurance. While I was researching this reactor, I also studied a lot of new materials and various energy effect field technologies, so I sold the most inconspicuous metal formula, and I had the money to buy this house. Genius? No, 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 this is more than a genius. It should be called a talent of the world. Generations of scientists, generations of historical celebrities. Today, Wang Yangsheng and Lillian finally saw a live real person. Luo Wen. No, no, no. Great scientist, great inventor. If I can't make it in the future, can you take care of your cousin? Also, if you become the founder of Summer Wood in the future, can you just mention that you have a cousin like me? Haha, a pair of big hands directly hugged Luo Wen's calves, very hard, and Wang Yangsheng, who couldn't help himself, was about to touch Luo Wen's head to borrow his light. Oh, brother, your head is not a circle bigger than ours, right? But I have to say, your skin is really good, elastic, and smooth. And Lillian, who was screaming, had already used her little hands to take action. Can you please stop doing this? I'm not an alien. As soon as he said this, Luo Wen was stunned for a moment. Unfortunately, the other two people who were immersed in excitement and inexplicable excitement did not notice this. Okay, I hope you can keep this a secret for me for the time being. I will soon set up a company and use these technologies to benefit the general public. It won't be too late to celebrate then. Then Luo Wen, do you think we can use it? This is a feat that has created a historical precedent. No matter what, I have to write my name, Wang Yangsheng. I also want to be famous for generations. Luo Wen, brother, can you please leave a position for me too? After cheering and excitement, the two people were extremely flattering. They didn't even delve into the V's that Luo Wen said inadvertently, or after Luo Wen pressed the pause button. They also thought that there were still many confidential data in the video that could not be easily shown to anyone. After all, being able to see these with one's own eyes is already an earth-shaking discovery that ordinary people dare not imagine. They dare not expect that Luo Wen will show them all the information. However, anti-gravity engines, nanoforms, gene editors, nanoalloys, carbon crystal batteries. They have temporarily missed the opportunity to see them first. You should continue to work in your own industry for a while. I want to take out some insignificant technologies to apply for patents, and then license them to domestic and foreign companies to accumulate the first startup capital as soon as possible. After my company is officially established and the factory starts construction, you can come and help me. But, such a great cause, I'm so excited that I can't sleep just thinking about it. How long do I have to wait? Luo Wen, I'm your cousin, and my mother is your aunt. Just let me follow you, help you, or run errands. Wang Yangsheng has been stimulated by the great ideal of benefiting all mankind, and Lillian is also excited and eager to try, fearing that if the deal is not reached today, it will be difficult to have such an opportunity again in the future. I have my own ideas and habits. Before raising enough startup funds, I will not let anyone follow me for the time being, because it is very likely to bring danger to you. Wouldn't it be even more unsafe for you to do it alone? Forget it, Lillian. I believe Zion, but we have to agree that, if you are really ready, remember to tell us the first time. Wang Yangsheng and Lillian both studied architectural design. They also knew that scientific and technological research had nothing to do with their majors, at least not at this stage, so they suppressed their inner impulses and talked to Luo Wen again about how he was thinking of doing these things alone in his hometown. Chapter 196 The Red Dust. Jiang Nansen is a very beautiful girl. At least Wang Yangsheng, who saw her for the first time, whispered to Luo Wen, "That girl is very interesting. She looks weak and well behaved, but she is a very unique girl in her heart. I will take you to see her if I have the chance in the future." So, you have no idea about Lillian, but you are very interested in Jiang Nansen, whom you just met for the first time. Wang Yangsheng ran from his room to Luo Wen's room in order to protect himself, and Luo Wen had to give up meditation and let his cousin nag him endlessly in his ear. Don't get me wrong, the two of them didn't sleep with their feet touching. Not to mention Wang Yangsheng's big body, Luo Wen couldn't adapt to this sudden excess of intimacy. Luo Wen slept on the bed, while Wang Yangsheng slept on the floor. Hey, let's not talk about me first. Ever since I went abroad with my mom, they have rarely paid attention to my love life. As the only son of the Luo family, when will you wake up and give birth to children for your family? Although I don't want to admit it, with your handsome looks and your strong muscles that don't show off, there should be girls chasing you. Oh, it must be because you always lock yourself in the room to do research, so those girls have no chance. This won't do. My mom told me to introduce you to a girlfriend and let her become your aunt as soon as possible. You big-headed ghost. Luo Wen's mouth twitched. He didn't expect that. After hiding here from the main world, he still couldn't escape the fate of being forced to marry. The moonlight was like a pillar, pouring down, and when Luo Wen slept, he was used to letting the world outside the window reflect his eyes, so he moved to the third floor bedroom of the starry skytop in his own villa. Go to bed early. Don't you have work to do tomorrow? I have to go out too. Oh, okay, go to sleep. You are now a national treasure that is more precious than a giant panda. I can't disturb your rest. I shut up. The traffic is heavy and the flow of people is like the ancient society. It's just that the scene is more superficially different. The time when Luo Wen came is almost the same as the time in his own world. It's autumn, the weather is not so hot, and the body feels very comfortable. Some people are busy outside, their hands and feet don't stop for a moment, while some people are in cafes and tea houses, enjoying the leisure and elegance since the morning. People are born unequal. If there is no class transition, everyone lives in the same world, but not in the same world. As for the house, I have decided to adopt Wang Yang's plan. Remember to tell your boyfriend. Also, I'm leaving soon. Remember to keep an eye on me from time to time after I leave. She is thin, with equally obvious cheekbones and collarbones. Some people may like this kind of skinny beauty, but when a younger girl with softer features and a figure that is more in line with most people's aesthetics appears next to her, I'm afraid all men will give priority to getting close to Jiang Nansen. It is difficult for Daisy to change her established perception, especially when comparing Wang Yangsheng and Zhang Anren together. As Jiang Nansen's aunt, she naturally gives priority to the most suitable Wang Yangsheng, rather than the Zhang Anren that Jiang Nansen chose, because she was just excited and firmly believed in the loyalty of campus love. Aunt, why are you like this? I told Zhang Anren that I wanted to use his blueprints. He worked on it for several days. Her voice was so sweet that it was sickening. They were all adults. Of course, as an informal occasion, they were very close relatives. No one could say anything bad about Jiang Nansen. Then thank him for me. It's a good thing to have good intentions, but you must also be mentally prepared. Not all good intentions will have the expected results. Gilu, elegant and dignified, drinking the coffee in her hand slowly, Daisy is using her personal experience in the first half of her life to teach Jiang Nansen the philosophy of life and work. You are so cold-blooded. Isn't this the truth that you should understand before you become an adult? There are rewards for hard work, but there may not be any. Frustration education is also education. Dear, you will slowly understand it in the future. Well, it is naturally impossible to have everything you want. However, Jiang Nansen encountered a soft male here with Daisy. She was unwillingly told by her aunt the final result. In the design competition between Zhang Anren and Wang Yangsheng, her boyfriend was the last one. Aunt, did you say the same thing when you divorced your uncle-in-law? Well, we separated amicably in Canada 5 years ago, and only recently found an opportunity to come back together, to go through the divorce procedures. If someone else said this, Daisy would naturally not be so kind to explain, but who made her niece speak? Okay, it's almost time. I have to meet a friend this afternoon. Please send this to Jingyan Group and put it in Yi Jianan's office with my name on it. Daisy finished her parting words. It was getting late. She picked up the leather file bag beside her and handed it to Jiang Nansen. As for why she didn't go by herself, it might be because she didn't want to see someone she knew, or it might be to create an opportunity for her niece so that the famous Yi Jianan and Jiang Nansen could have a reasonable chance to get to know each other. Is it the big boss Yi Jianan? Yes. What is here? It's your uncle-in-law. Some information about your ex-uncle-in-law's company. Look for Yi Jianan to help with some projects. Oh, you're divorced, and you're still thinking about him. Go ahead, they're still relatives even if they're divorced. Jiang Nansen's family inherited the influence of their ancestors and can be regarded as the descendants of a real wealthy family. They live in a 3-story ancestral house on Fuxing Road. The average price of commercial housing on the same plot is more than 100,000 yuan, and a 3-story building with a sense of age can easily start at tens of millions. Jiang Nansen sent her aunt away and return home. She was arranged by her own father to attend the celebrity salon because according to him, Zhang Anren was born in a grassroots family. No matter how hard he worked, he would only be a teacher all his life. No matter how capable and outstanding a girl is, she lives to marry a good family. The conflict broke out. Jiang Nansen, who lived in a fairy tale world, could not accept her father's constant talk of money, power transactions and worldly materialism. She cut her hair, broke things, and threatened to run away from home. As for the file bag in her hand, she had to ask her best friend Zhu Suosuo to help her. Hello, Zhan, have you adapted to life in Shanghai these past 2 days? Luo Wen had just walked out of the agency and found a small roadside park and answered the call from his aunt. I'm okay, everything is fine. Didn't your cousin call you? He's been beating drums and gongs over there. I guess he's hanging out with that group of musicians again. He's not doing his job every day. It's really hard to do anything about him. By the way, Aunt has a favor to ask of you. If you have time, please help me check on him more often and make sure he doesn't do anything wrong at school. You are all young people and cousins. You understand a lot of things, even if I don't tell you, right? The aunt opposite quickly shifted her attention from Luo Wen to her son Wang Yangsheng. After all, Luo Wen was able to buy a house with his own ability, so she had nothing to worry about. Oh, Oklahoma, I'll go find my cousin after he gets off work this afternoon. I'll tell him to concentrate on his work and not focus on irrelevant things. He should also find a girlfriend so that she can give you a grandson. Oh, that's right. Haha, your aunt's future happiness depends on you and your cousin. Also, you should pay attention to your own affairs. Don't just care about your cousin. Phew, this aunt is even more enthusiastic than Luo Wen's real aunt in the main world. And I don't know if it's because she's abroad. Every time she calls, she won't hang up easily for less than 7 or 8 minutes. This is because Luo Wen keeps saying yes and rarely interrupts. Otherwise it could be 10 minutes or even a quarter of an hour. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Jingyan Group. Lujiazhu CBD, at the entrance of a skyscraper. Unlike the white-collar elites coming and going, they are all dressed in suits, or high heels and silk stockings. Luo Wen is wearing a grey hooded sweatshirt, a backpack, black tapered trousers, and a pair of white sneakers. Except that he didn't put on the hat to pretend to be a programmer. He gave people a similar feeling, but he was well proportioned, light-footed, and especially a handsome face, which made people involuntarily attracted to him. Hello, my name is Luo Wen, and I have an appointment with Mr. Yi Jinan. The gentle expression and steady movements did not look like what the young man in front of him should have at this stage. The 2 young ladies at the front desk felt like they were numb. Being looked at by the handsome guy in front of them, they felt like they had a strange feeling of being electrified. Click, the handsome guy wants to see, and the work at hand cannot be neglected. Check the visitor list on the computer. There is indeed a person named Luo Wen. Oh, hello, Mr. Luo. Mr. Yi has a meeting at 2:30. You only have 10 minutes now. Please follow me. The work of the front desk is generally not to leave the post, but they also have different people, such as extremely important company customers, or visitors with good impressions. They will personally lead the way, and send people to the department and office they want to go. Well, thank you. The reason why Luo Wen came here is that he has raised the startup funds he wanted through the internet. It's not a lot, but it's not too little. It's a miscellaneous semi-obsolete technology, that is, the kind that the level 1 civilization is very optimistic about, but there is no development potential after level 2. As for who it was sold to, Luo Wen, as a hidden angry youth, of course, sold it to those big companies abroad. The total amount is 50 billion US dollars, which is 300 billion RMB when converted into the currency here. Finding Jingan Group is also the second step of Luo Wen's plan. Money alone obviously cannot directly help the world climb the civilization level. To transform the technology and the quantum computer into reality one by one, it is necessary to set up companies and build high-tech factories. Luo Wen wants everyone on the earth to experience the wonderful feeling brought by the technological leap. Although Jingan Group is mainly engaged in commercial real estate development, as a large-scale construction contractor, they are also well known in Shanghai. After all, Luo Wen does not want to contact the national level at this stage, so he naturally chooses a powerful private enterprise, rather than those China construction bureaus. Haha, Mr. Luo, I'm very surprised. You are so young, and I have never heard anyone mention you anywhere. Why did President Huang of the bank give you my contact information? Elegant, although with a faint smile on his face, but gives people a sense of awe without anger. The aura of the superior on his body, at a glance, is a big man who dominates the business world. However, Luo Wen didn't care about him so much. He sat down on the chair opposite the desk under Yi Jinan's hand. He had seen emperors and military commanders, and he was willing to serve them. He was just a businessman. Luo Wen had not read the plot, so of course he didn't understand. The man sitting in front of him could be said to be the soul of the whole TV series. Of course, the TV series is one of the background intervention points of this world. Luo Wen also tried his best to deal with ordinary people in this world with a normal attitude. Oh, fame is not helpful to me. By the way, Mr. Yi's time is precious, so I'll make it short. I have my eyes on a piece of land in Binhai Park, Jinshan district. I need your company to help me realize it according to my plan. Yi Jinan couldn't see through the young man in front of him. Although the construction department was also one of the trump cards of Jingan Group, most of them took the land and did the construction themselves. Jingan Group helped others with construction, but it was rare. Wow. Luo Wen has put the computer bag on the floor, unzipped it, took out the computer from it, opened it and put it in front of Yi Jinan. The total area is 200 hectares, half of which is the industrial park. The comprehensive office building, factory building, and structural design drawings are all here. The living park on the other side can be built slowly, but the industrial park, I need your company to complete the construction within 1 year. Yi Jinan originally thought that Luo Wen was a child of a big family who came out to gain experience and make friends. He asked for 200 hectares of land at the beginning. How much money did he prepare? Mr. Luo, our Jingan Group is a commercial real estate development company. If you go to bid yourself or find a state-owned enterprise, it should be more in your interest, right? Although I'm confident that our construction department is not worse than the national team, have you carefully calculated the expenses and costs of such a large-scale cluster building? Luo Wen didn't mind Yi Jinan opposite him, holding his own computer and flipping through the drawings on it. Anyway, Spark Assistant didn't have his authorization, so Yi Jinan could only see these. My company is still looking for someone to help me with the formalities. As a wholly owned private enterprise, I don't want to get entangled with too many companies. From land acquisition to bidding for construction, these Jingan groups should be more experienced than me. Of course, state-owned enterprises are more guaranteed in terms of quality, but in terms of construction progress, the efficiency of your Jingan Group is what I want. Luo Wen's eyes seemed to be full of stars. Facing Yi Jinan's scrutiny and suspicion, he remained unmoved from beginning to end, and acted calmly. My budget for the entire industrial park, plus the living park, is 200 billion. Mr. Yi, I don't care how much profit your Jingan Group makes. I just want to see the results, and whether you can complete the construction on schedule. Shouldn't business negotiations be like this? Yi Jinan said he couldn't understand why 200 billion was so easy for the young man opposite him. 200 billion. The entire Jingan Group's market value is not that much, and the young Luo Wen, carrying a computer bag, came over and casually said such a huge number. He is not here to make fun of me, or has other purposes. Mr. Yi, you have seen the drawings, and I have told you my budget. If you agree, I can transfer 200 billion to your company's account now. Is this a vegetable market or a small supermarket on the side of the road? He actually asked for a transfer directly and in full. This Yi Jinan has never been so inexplicable since he entered society. Knock, knock, knock. Boss Yi, it's time for the meeting. Managers from all departments are waiting for you. The door of the office was knocked, but no one came in. When Luo Wen walked in, he felt a sense of deja vu about the feminine male secretary at the opposite door. Secretary Fan, ask everyone to wait for me for a moment. I have something to discuss here. Oh, Oklahoma, Boss Yi. The voice disappeared, and the footsteps gradually faded away. Mr. Luo, happy cooperation. Yi Jinan has never been a hesitant person, not to mention that Luo Wen had said to pay first, so why would he not dare? He stood up and stretched out his right hand with a sincere face. This is a 200 billion big business. If Jingan Group succeeds, I'm afraid their company can be said to be the only one in the country. Haha, Mr. Yi, happy cooperation. Chapter 198 ZHU Suoso. Luo Wen declined Yi Jinan's suggestion to arrange someone to take her around their company, and he didn't need to see her off in person. While Luo Wen was waiting for the elevator alone, Yi Jinan had already waved to Secretary Fan again and again, and hurried into the meeting room. I'm afraid that their agenda today has added another item. Ding. Yellow shorts, revealing a pair of slender and fair long legs, white shirt, a small white bag hanging on the shoulder, long hair fluttering, graceful, and the facial features and makeup are also very well matched. If Luo Wen were to give her a score, 9 points. Hello. The girl was holding a cowhide file bag. When she saw Luo Wen outside the elevator, her breathing paused for a second, and a shy expression appeared on her face. She nodded and took the initiative to say hello, and wanted to say something else. Well, hello. It seems that this beauty should not be an employee of Jingan Group. Otherwise, why would she say hello to herself? After all, neither of them had a work badge hanging around their necks. By the way, where is Mr. Yi's office? The girl is very pretty, but her attitude is very respectful. In modern society, are there still girls who don't rely on their appearance? Luo Wen stood on the left side of the elevator. After she came out, he was going to take the elevator downstairs and go to the school to find Wang Yangsheng. He had called before, and his cousin said that he was moving to a dormitory this afternoon, and Luo Wen could go and help him. As for why Luo Wen didn't take the initiative to attack when he saw a beautiful woman, maybe he didn't develop this habit, or maybe he was well informed and didn't find it strange. Oh, turn left and go straight ahead. The biggest office is it. He seems to be in a meeting now. You probably have to wait there for a while. Ah, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Crack. Hey. Before the girl bowed to thank him, when she looked up again, the handsome guy in front of her had already pressed the elevator door closing button and disappeared directly from her. Yeah, I was just thinking about getting to know you and asking what your name is. Oh, what a pity. The girl stamped her feet and had to continue walking into the corridor with 3 parts of nervousness and 3 parts of expectation. The front desk called Yi Jinan's office, but no one answered. As for bringing people in personally, since there was no appointment and they were not very important errand runners to deliver documents, they were not interested. While ZHU Suoso was still annoyed and didn't chat with the handsome guy waiting for the elevator, she walked into the largest office. It was really luxurious. It was actually a suite with a special secretary's office outside. Hey, didn't Mr. Yi go to a meeting? The door of the office was open, and a middle-aged man in a suit and tie walked out. Are you here to deliver documents? Hey, Mr. Yi? Hello, aren't you in a meeting? Oh. As for why this middle-aged man who suddenly appeared in Yi Jinan's office, he was just a driver who came to ask the boss whether he would need the car in the afternoon. If he didn't need the car, he would drive it to the 4S shop for maintenance. Facing a beautiful energetic young woman, the driver was obviously stunned for a moment. After a little hesitation, he nodded vaguely. Well, don't you have a document to send to me? Oh, that's right. I have a document from Ms. Daisy. Okay, thank you. The middle-aged man did not explain that he was not Yi Jinan. but took the file back handed over by the girl and looked at the notes on it in a serious manner. Putting his hands in his pockets and turning around gracefully, the driver was ready to leave this beauty with an unforgettable back of a successful man. Hey, Mr. Yi, please wait a moment. Is there anything else? Oh, I don't know. If you have time, I want to talk to you. Okay, go ahead. The middle-aged driver was always free, and he had nothing to do anyway, so he might as well chat with this beautiful young girl and enjoy the identity and pleasure of Mr. Yi. My name is ZHU Suoso. I don't know if I have a chance. Can you let me come to Jingan Group for internship? I can do anything. I can learn anything. Please give me a chance, please. She put her hands together, bent down and begged, with a sincere attitude. Well, The middle-aged man obviously did not expect this beautiful woman to be so direct. She actually came here to find a job. Now he is in a dilemma. He doesn't want to reveal his true identity and lose face in front of this beautiful woman. He hesitated and didn't know whether to agree or not. If he agreed, he couldn't make the decision. His expression suddenly became unnatural. But in ZHU Suoso's eyes, she thought that she was too rash and her request offended Mr. Yi. I'm sorry, Mr. Yi, I'm rude. I'm just afraid that I won't have such an opportunity to talk to you face to face in the future. Otherwise, if you are not busy now, can you give me a few minutes and I will introduce myself to you. The more proactive ZHU Suoso was, the more inflated the middle-aged man's heart was, and his vanity was greatly satisfied. How about this? I have arrangements now. Let's make an appointment later and hear from you about your situation. Yeah, okay, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Yi. ZHU Suoso's face was full of excitement and joy. Yes, leave me your phone number and I will contact you directly when I'm done here. Oh, okay, I'll do it myself. ZHU Suoso. ZHU Suoso took the phone and tapped the screen with her fingers. She not only left her phone number, but also wrote a note. Hey, Luo Wen, your timing is so unfortunate. I waited for others for half an hour, and now I finally moved my things up by myself. You must have planned it before showing up, right? The dormitory for single teachers looks ancient and mottled from the outside, but it has been renovated and tidied inside, and the environment is very good. Luo Wen greeted the dormitory aunt at the entrance, and then went upstairs to find Wang Yangsheng. At this time, his cheap cousin was sitting on the suitcase board, and there were several other large boxes and a guitar case at the door. It seemed that this was all his belongings. There are not many things here. What's the value of running twice by yourself? Bang, bang. Luo Wen weighed it with his feet twice. Hey, are these cartons filled with books? It feels a bit heavy. This guy is coming later. You have to help me talk to him. What's going on? We agreed to move out this afternoon, but now he hasn't shown up. I don't even have the key. It's enough. Click, click. Wang Yangsheng was complaining to Luo Wen, like a pitiful little brother. It was a very strange scene. Luo Wen was obviously the cousin, right? In the stairwell over there, two familiar footsteps came from Luo Wen. Hey. Aren't these the two people who said bad things about Wang Yangsheng behind his back the day before yesterday? Seeing the faces of the two embarrassed people, Luo Wen nodded to them in a friendly manner. They were not evil people. The relationship between Luo Wen and them was actually not much different from that between Wang Yangsheng and them. They were all strangers. It was just that the system forcibly gave him such a cousin. Chapter 199 Deepening Understanding. Hey, Mr. Zhang, you and your girlfriend are finally here. You made me and my cousin wait for you for a long time. Why did you move here? Haha, oh, it turns out that it was Mr. Wan who moved to my dormitory. Sorry, I was delayed because of something. A dry laugh came out of Zhang Anren's mouth, and the petite and lovely Jiang Nansen beside him didn't care about Wang Yangsheng and his so-called cousin at all. You came too early. The notice said that Zhang Anren can move out within today. Now there are more than 9 hours before the end of today. Jiang Nansen had a very bad impression of Wang Yangsheng and naturally affected her calm cousin. As for what she said on the way to school that day, she didn't think it was too much, because what she said was the truth. Anyone in the whole school would probably know Wang Yangsheng's gossip. When she went to the office to find Zhang Anren yesterday, Wang Yang's flirts all came directly to the door. Hey, it's meaningless if you say that. Okay, she's not wrong. You won't move tomorrow. Who can you blame? Luo Wen adheres to the principle of helping the right, not the relatives, and he is not doing it because the girl opposite is pretty. Hey, see, your own cousin said the same thing, but you came too early. Little brother, you are more reasonable than your cousin. Haha, my name is Jiang Nansen. We met the day before yesterday. This is Zhang Anren. Jiang Nansen took the initiative to greet and introduced the young man who took out the key to open the door. Oh, hello, Luo Wen. Do you have a lot of things? What can I help you with? No, how can I bother you? Click, the door of the room was opened. The things in the room were basically packed and piled on the floor in the middle of the living room, and Zhang Anren and Jiang Nansen, facing such a considerate Luo Wen who clearly distinguished right from wrong, couldn't help but have a good impression of him. After all, as long as good-looking people are not as scumbag as Wang Yangsheng, it is still easy for everyone to accept them. The shadows of the trees are heavy, and the lazy sunlight shines into the house. In the air, there is not only the fragrance of girls, but also the scent of sweet-scented osmanthus and moist soil outside the window. How about you help us move too? My girlfriend is not strong, and she can't move these things. Zhang Anren seemed to feel the simplicity and innocence of Luo Wen, who was also a low-class person. In addition, Luo Wen himself asked, and his girlfriend Jiang Nansen was a real rich girl, so he just took advantage of the situation. Well, it's okay. Wow, Luo Wen's eyes were lively and his hands were strong. Under Wang Yangsheng's extremely incomprehensible gaze, he carried the first box of pots, bowls, and pans and stepped out. Luo Wen, I'll lead the way for you. Watch your step. Jiang Nansen thought Luo Wen was just being polite, but he reached out and moved the heaviest box. He is so honest. She quickly picked up a small cardboard box and chased after him, wanting to help Luo Wen pay attention to the safety of the surroundings. Wang Yangsheng was holding Luo Wen's computer bag and had a wireless headset in his ears. He could only watch his cousin serve the enemy. Hey, Luo Wen, who are you on the side of? With Luo Wen's help, Jiang Nansen and Zhang Anren became foils. Even if they didn't hold anything in their hands, they couldn't catch up with the fast Luo Wen, not to mention that Zhang Anren, in order to show his physical fitness, began to compete with Luo Wen in front of Jiang Nansen. Unfortunately, he might have chosen the wrong person, the wrong target. Zhang Anren and Jiang Nansen were exhausted and panting. Sweat came out of their foreheads, but Luo Wen was like nothing happened. He picked up the broom and dustpan in the room and started cleaning the room. Hey, I told you to come and help, just to get to know the position, but I really don't dare to let you do the work. Let me do it. Wang Yangsheng saw his cousin and the two outsiders were having a hot relationship, and now he started to clean up his room. He broke out in a cold sweat instantly. If his aunt's own mother knew about this, she would definitely punish me severely. Besides, now is different from the past. In the future he may have to beg his cousin to take him to the history. How could he let him work for him? And it was housework. Hoo-hoo. Oh, Luo Wen, your physical fitness is too good. We can't catch up with you. Today is really thanks to you. Otherwise, if we are given another half an hour, I'm afraid it will be difficult to move everything. Jiang Nansen and Zhang Anren, with beads of sweat on their faces and noses, were still panting, and they said very grateful words in front of Luo Wen with embarrassed faces. Luo Wen, I didn't expect that. You don't look much stronger than me, but you are really strong. Zhang Anren always tried to be elegant in front of his girlfriend, and he was also cautious and prudent when doing things, for fear of exposing his inadequacy. Suddenly with Luo Wen's comparison, his legs were shaking, his face was red, and he was about to give up. Are you okay? Why don't you sit down and rest for a while? Luo Wen helped us move the things half an hour earlier. Anyway, we will definitely be able to get back before dark. Jiang Nansen looked at Luo Wen, and then looked at Zhang Anren beside her. Although she admired Luo Wen's physical fitness, her boyfriend still had to care about her more, lest he misunderstand that she looked down on him. It's okay. I'll just stand for a while. I haven't exercised for a long time, and the strength in my hands and feet has decreased a lot. It seems that I have to strengthen my exercise in the future. By the way, Luo Wen, when are you free? Nansen and I will treat you to a meal. It's really troublesome for you today. Zhang Enren was very polite. No matter what his purpose was, at least in Luo Wen's opinion, this person did not have any bad intentions. He might just like to add fuel to the fire in private. No one is perfect. Who doesn't have some small shortcomings? Oh, no, it's just a fight. It's a small matter. You don't have to take it to heart. My cousin seems to have some misunderstanding with you, and you are all from the same school. I hope that, if there is anything in the future, you can sit down and slowly communicate. We are all young people, so there is no need to have conflicts, right? Luo Wen only drew a preliminary conclusion, based on his own observations. As for what other faces they had in the original plot, he didn't know now, and he didn't care much. After all, he was just doing what he should do. Haha, we are the ones who should say sorry to you. We accidentally talked about Wang Yang's hang behind his back that day. But, Luo Wen, you have to take good care of your cousin. He has quite a few female confidants. This is a school, and there will always be people who can't stand it. Okay, I know. My aunt also said hello to me. Luo Wen turned his head and glanced at Wang Yang's hang, who was pretending to be calm and mopping the floor honestly. He felt helpless. In the main world, just because he was a nice guy, even his own mother was a little suspicious and kept talking about the girls who came to their house. This cousin, could it be that the system also applied his template? Chapter 200, The World of Ordinary People. Ouch. Today Luo Wen helped us move our things from upstairs downstairs, but we didn't think much of it, but now we have to move it by ourselves when we get home. Your things are really heavy. Jiang Nansen and Zhang Anren drove a borrowed sedan and brought the full stuff back to Zhang Anren's house. When Zhang Anren was packing up by himself, he didn't have a concrete idea until he got home and moved the stuff from the car to the elevator by himself. He found that Luo Wen's physical strength was really good. Panting and panting, it was not easy to move all the things to the door of the house. Zhang Enren took out the key tremblingly, and it took him several seconds to align it with the hole. In response to Jiang Nansen's sigh, Zhang Enren took several breaths before finally responding to her. It is true. I didn't expect the things would be so heavy. It's the elevator that saves us the effort. I must thank him when I get a chance. Click. Come in and sit anywhere. The house is a bit messy. I only recently had time to come and clean it up. Zhang Enren walked into his home first, then went to the table to get a bottle of water and handed it to Jiang Nansen first. He drank the whole bottle in one breath and then went to busy himself with taking large and small things from the aisle at the door into the room. It's pretty good. You designed it yourself. It's quite cozy. This is my first time to come and see your house after it's been renovated. Jiang Nansen was holding the water. Although she didn't use much strength, she had already reached her limit by running up and down. At this time, she was walking around the one-bedroom apartment, observing the details everywhere. But the phone on the coffee table rang. Nansen, your mother's phone call. Oh, please answer it for me. Following the sound, Jiang Nansen also walked out of the room, hands free. Zhang Enren slid the screen, then turned around and went to do his own thing. Why bother? Wouldn't it be enough to just pick up the phone and hand it to Jiang Nansen? Maybe this is his little idea. Nansen, your dad wants to ask Zhang Anren to come back for dinner. He will call you later. Just find an excuse to push him away. Got it? He has no extra money now, so he wants Zhang Anren to sell the house and invest in stocks. The voice on the other side was faintly worried and helpless, but Zhang Anren was always paying attention to the room, and he didn't dare to leave for a moment. Okay, I got it. Beep. After the phone call was hung up, Jiang Nansen's face seemed to show some displeasure. Nansen, how about we go? Since uncle has invited us, it would be inappropriate for us not to go. Zhang Enren likes Jiang Nansen very much, not only because they love each other, but also because he comes from a small city, and Jiang Nansen has a good family background, is beautiful and has a very good temperament. Whether it is out of interpersonal relationship considerations or help for him after marriage, Zhang Enren does his best to integrate into her life and wants to get the recognition of her parents and family. I don't want to go. His motives are not pure. Didn't you hear him asking you to sell the house? Humph. Jiang Nansen became more and more angry the more she thought about it. The reason why she was forced to change her hairstyle today was because she had a big fight with her father yesterday. Now her father is making this scene again. It goes without saying that on the surface he is using the money to invest in stocks, but in fact he is using his family background to force Zhang Enren to retreat. Hey, Princess Jiang, you are in a bad mood again, right? Since we are going to be a family in the future, we have to get along well with our current relationship. Zhang Enren was very determined. He took her hand and began to discuss carefully. At least now he treated the gentle and beautiful Jiang Nansen with all his efforts to be tolerant and caring. Seeing that Jiang Nansen's expression had loosened, he immediately struck while the iron was hot. For the sake of my and your future, it is worth it for me to be humble now, right? Humph, I don't know what it means to be humble. I won't go. The narrow streets of the old city, the beautiful cars and the wealthy boss in a suit and leather shoes, the BMW 760 luxury executive version, the landing price is estimated to be around 3 million, and the girl sitting in the co-pilot's seat is the ZHU Suoso who had met Luo Wen that day. The car was very quiet, and Mr. Yi was also a very humble and generous middle-aged man. This made ZHU Suoso, who had been living under someone else's roof since childhood, deeply understand what it means to be cared for. Ahem. Big hand holding small hand. The middle-aged man naturally held his hand on the back of ZHU Suoso's hand. Obviously, after 2 days of constant testing and attack, he felt that ZHU Suoso had accepted his love. Well, thank you for spending so much time on someone like me who I just met for a few days. ZHU Suoso not only did not resist, but smiled affectionately. Maybe in her concept, the age of man is not very important to her. What she wants is a sense of security and being cared for. Of course, a sense of security and the feeling of being cared for everywhere require the support of hard power. Fortunately, Mr. Ma is obviously also a senior executive of Jingyan Group, and his own strength is also very strong. In the past 2 days, Mr. Yi not only picked her up and took her to a big meal, but also gave her many gifts. This made ZHU Suoso, who was inexperienced, deeply fascinated and unable to extricate herself. In fact, she is about the same age as Jiang Nansen, both of them are almost 30 years older, but she is full of too many beautiful fantasies about reality, so her social experience is basically at the level of a novice. The bigger the city, the more such people there are. This has to be said to be a very strange phenomenon. Oh, it should be me who should thank you. A man may never meet a beautiful and lovely girl like you in his lifetime, or even several lifetimes. I'm very lucky. Since I have met one, I will definitely treat you well in the future. His face and eyes were full of unstoppable excitement and happiness. The middle-aged man was very proud of his methods. This is just like what they often say in my hometown. Get on the bus first, and buy the ticket later, and the wife has to rely on deception. As the saying goes, the bold will die of fullness and the timid will die of starvation. As long as ZHU Suoso has made substantial progress, he doesn't care if his deeds are exposed afterwards. Another day, Luo Wen helped Wang Yongzheng move that day, and his cousin took over the work himself. After he returned home, he was busy with his own things and had not contacted him for several days. He transformed a room into a studio and solidified the walls around it. Of course, it was not the decoration workers and the materials bought from outside, but the array. As long as there is money, Luo Wen, who already has experience, can also get a driver's license and a car very efficiently. However, when he drove the car into the community, there was more or less some noise. After all, Bentley Continental is still very rare in this community. Although it is not very expensive, it is only less than 5 million. Hey, Zhao Luo, are you going out? As soon as the door was opened, the door of 302 opposite Luo Wen was also pushed open. It was the Zhao grandma who had eaten at his house a few days ago. She was holding 2 garbage bags in her hands at this time, and her purpose was obviously self-evident. Oh, my cousin asked me to have lunch with him at noon. Grandma, give me the things and I'll take them down for you. This? How can I be so embarrassed? It's okay, it's just a piece of cake. Luo Wen reached out to take it, and the old lady didn't refuse. After all, there was nothing to argue about. Oh, then I'll trouble you, Zio Luo. Haha, how great it would be if I had a grandson like you. By the way, Zio Luo, you don't go out to work every day, and you bought a car. Wow, it looks very expensive. What kind of job do you do? Luo Wen finally came to his senses. How could the Zhao grandma just happen to go out to throw away the garbage? She was just waiting for him to go out. For an old man, for social stability and friendly neighborhood relations, he really worries about it. That's right, when people are old and don't have hobbies like square dancing, they don't have a lot of time. Grandma, I haven't done anything bad. What kind of job do I have? You will know it later. I have something else to do, so I won't chat with you for long. See you later. Grandson, if you miss your grandson, you can call them. Why are you talking to me? Do you want to pick one up for free? Luo Wen took the garbage bag, nodded to the enthusiastic neighbor, and walked down the stairs. Although there is an elevator in the old community, the speed is really anxious. Besides, it's only the 3rd floor, it's not worth it. Hey, this kid, I'm afraid he's overthinking it. He thinks I want to recognize him as my grandson. He just sees that he is warm and polite to others. It seems that he doesn't want to be a bad person. Well, I must be overthinking it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.